Let me see. Let me see. I think we live. I think we live. I think we live. And we are live. Hello, YouTube. What is going on tonight? We got a debate. Oh, I always got sound in every in every form of television or speaker around me on at the same time. All right, so we on. We got a debate tonight. We have a debate tonight. This is Soapbox Heroes. My name is Tyrone Irvin, and tonight we are going to debate the merits of social democracy versus American democracy. Wait, what is it? Social democracy democracy versus American democratic
capitalism.
Yeah, socialist democracy.
Yep.
Versus American capitalism.
And we done been over it. We were going to debate with another good friend of ours, and he was going to come on. And I've been hearing this term in so many different terms over the last week. Robert, let's debate socialism, not social capitalism, communism. So yeah, that's where we at with it. So yeah, this is Soapbox Heroes, and we're gonna get our debate on today. We got Anthony and we have Robert. We got the friend of the people and Anthony. We got a name change up here, so you guys got to get to know him as a friend of the people.
He should have put all. He should have put all people.
All right, Robert. Here, go ahead and take a second to introduce yourself.
Robert Kelly, friend of the people, from Southern California, and just here to educate the people on social democracy, because I know it's not something that's talked about a lot in America. As a matter of fact, it can be something that is villainized in America. So just education so the people can make a decision on what type of government they want for themselves.
Okay. All right. Anthony, you want to take a second and let everybody know who you are?
Yeah, Anthony Rivers, man. You can find me on Facebook. And I also got a site on Facebook called Child Support Reform USA, where I try to promote, fathers being able to get visitation and 50-50 custody to their children from birth. And, we're here today to debate socialist democracy against capitalism. And I'm a capitalist, so I'm here to defend capitalism and basically give my view of why socialism will not work. And it definitely will not work for Black Americans.
Okay. And yeah, and again, you guys, that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you get a chance, share this. If you're watching, if you got a chance to yet, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell. And one more time, we are debating the merits of social democracy versus American capitalism. And we're going to debate this because it kind of spurred from other debates and conversations that we have talked about. And so based on things in the current climate and the current times, we hear a lot about socialism. We hear a lot about capitalism. And so we're going to get some opinions. We're going to get some thoughts on it. And what we're going to do today, we're actually going to share some things with you. So both debaters are going to share links, and they're going to share articles, pictures, charts, and what have you, just to show you things that they're talking about. So you can see their sources, you can see their resources, and you can go look these things up for yourself. So why don't we get started? And while we start with you, Robert, give your thoughts first on social democracy, and then we could go ahead and get into it. I'll get your thoughts on social democracy, and I'll get Anthony's thoughts on capitalism. And after that, we'll go ahead and we'll start bringing up the slides, and you guys can start laying out your points.
All right. I think that the first thing we need to do when it comes to social democracy is we need to define it for Americans. Because the thing is, Americans don't often know what it is. When you say socialism, sometimes you get a picture of the hook and the sickle from the USSR. You get some kind of, you're thinking about the People's Republic of China, or you get to thinking about, government control in Cuba. Dictatorships and things of that nature. But what I want to do is just briefly go over social democracy. Now, if you were just to Google social democracy, it would say a socialist system of government achieved by democratic means. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. So if you're talking about a socialist system of government, socialist means that the government, the government actually controls the method of production or the means of production for a certain industry. If an industry is controlled by the government and the production is controlled by the government, it is called a socialized industry. So, so a social democracy goes a little bit deeper than that, because first of all, it is with the permission of the people. Many socialist governments did come about through revolutions, and the party and the people that came into power forced socialism on the people, or socialism, maybe they agreed with it at some part, but there was a despot or a dictator that that basically allocated resources and things of that nature at their own pleasure or to their own leisure and did things to stay in power. That's the socialism that a lot of people think of when we say socialism, because those are some of the most prominent social countries that have come about, or social empires that have come about in recent memory, such as the USSR, the People's Republic of China, North Korea, things of that nature. Okay. They also, but socialism does not have to have a dictator at the top dictating everything in terms of allocating values. When in a social democracy, it is again social programs that are implemented, a social system of government that is achieved by democratic means, meaning it is at the will and of the people that these things come about. Now, on a little bit more of a nuanced discussion about it, I just want to let you guys give you an example of how social democracy comes into play. In America, we have the Constitution, and in the Constitution, we have something called the Bill of Rights. It's the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. In those 10 amendments, it tells you basically they give you what's called negative rights. Basically, it tells you what the government cannot do. The government cannot infringe, for instance, on your freedom of speech. Now, so freedom of speech is a negative right. There are also positive rights that are not in the Constitution, but rights that go along with negative rights. What a social democracy does is it says, as just as important those negative rights, such as freedom of speech, are, there's a positive correlation, a positive right correlation that must also be protected by the government. For example, freedom of speech. If you have freedom of speech, then you also must protect everyone's right to have an education. Why? Because if you have people that are speaking and trading ideas and things of that nature, they need the opportunity to hone and to craft those ideas to the point where they can express themselves properly with a freedom of speech. You have freedom of press, but people don't know how to read or write, then there is no freedom of press. It's just it's a fake right. So just as the government is protecting our freedom of speech or freedom of press, we must also protect everyone's right to an education. So what the government does in response to that is they step in and they socialize education. Most people that are watching here have gone to public schools in America, K through 12 public schools. That was a socialized program that was reinforcing a positive right to an education that also reinforces a negative right, the freedom of speech. So then you see how a social democracy works. So now when we take these when we decide that something is a right, a right, like a right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then we expect the government to protect a positive right on the other side, such as healthcare. So when the people give the government permission to now protect that positive right, we work in conjunction with the government to bring that about, such with programs such as single payer healthcare, Medicare for all, things of that nature, because that helps protect the fact that everyone has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So it does go a little bit deeper in terms of what a social democracy does and how it would actually help Black people, because it creates a situation of equity where there was not one before, while capitalism is a situation where there's greed and the people, everyone's fighting to be at the top because that's where all the wealth is consolidated. And then Black people get left behind and marginalized because equity is not important to the government or in the will of the people.
Okay, Anthony, you want to
Okay.
talk about American capitalism and
Yeah,
or
yeah.
and
I would like to ask him a couple questions before I get started on the American capitalism.
well, look, let's do it like this. Let's lay out American capitalism, and then you can ask him the questions that you want to ask him, and he can ask you, so you guys could both get that out the way, and then we could go on into our descriptions of things. You know what I mean? Just so we don't
Okay.
have to stop and do it twice. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, American capitalism. I don't believe that there's anything wrong with capitalism. Because in this country, you can you can just come up with an idea and become a millionaire. You can come up with an invention. You can come up with an idea. You can write a book and become a millionaire. One thing that I feel that the brother Robert didn't talk about in his socialist ideology is the tax situation in in the socialist ideology, and how high the tax will be. And we'll get to that because that's one of the questions I wanted to ask him. Now, when it comes to capitalism, the only issues that I see that Black people really have in this society when dealing with capitalism is the fact that banks discriminate against us. But that's something that can be worked out if we build our own banks, if we help our own people, if we spend with our own people, not the Arabs, the Indians, the Asians for the hair, the Arabs at the corner store, liquor store, all these different things. If we, the Indians, the Chinese food, we have to start building our own infrastructure, group economics, and we will definitely benefit a lot better than we do comparison to giving the Indians and the Asians $1 billion or $2 billion every year just for weaves or the other things that we choose to spend money on. If you want to buy a weave, you should be able to buy it from your own people. So when I look at capitalism, in every society, you're going to have greed. You're going to have people who want to make money and who will pay their workers cheap or whatever the case may be. So, capitalism is not the problem. And giving handouts to people does not solve problems. Like he mentioned school as a socialist program, which he made a good point. But there's another angle to that. I've seen high schools like in Detroit, Michigan, where people graduate and they don't even know how to read because these schools want to get the financing and the money from the government, so they will push somebody through who can't even read. One of my cousins from Detroit couldn't even read when she graduated high school. So at the end of the day, you also have that angle. And then when you look at Black people, when it comes to the welfare programs that have been put in place, it has destroyed the Black family, because they will push the Black father out of the house for food stamps and Section 8. And that's been going on for a long time. You know, most people, if you're a socialist, you're not going to agree with that, but you can do the research yourself to see the impact that welfare has had on the Black. There's plenty of documentaries out there. You can go ahead and take a look at it. So, that is a socialist program that destroyed the Black family. There was a point of time in America before these welfare programs and before desegregation where the Black people were the highest number of the highest, marriage rate in the country, more than anyone else. But after your socialist programs like welfare, now Black women are the bottom of the marriage rate system. They're at the bottom. And over 70% of Black babies are born out of wedlock. That is a part of your socialist welfare program and how it destroyed our people. So that's one reason why I don't agree with all this socialism. If you give people handouts and then you promote and incentivize them they have to do certain things to get the money, a lot of time that's what they're going to do. And you're going to have people who get caught, get lazy, and just don't get caught up, and they don't put the energy in to get off of these things like Section 8, welfare, and all these things. So I'm not a fan of socialism.
Okay. All right, and we'll do this because since you guys explained what a social democracy is, and your thoughts about capitalism, then why don't you guys ask each other a couple of questions based on what you just heard, and after that, let's go ahead and get into the meat of our debate. So, Anthony, you said you had a question, and then Robert, whatever questions you have, go ahead, Anthony.
I was going to ask Robert, what is the tax rates? Are you an AOC supporter, Bernie Sanders supporter?
AOC doesn't really represent me, so I could care less if she's in Congress or not. Bernie Sanders,
But she is a socialist.
Yo, you got let him answer. Let him answer, Robert.
Okay.
I mean, Anthony. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's just because she's a socialist, I have to support her too.
No, I was just saying. I mean, where's your socialist programs going to come from? Somebody has to be in there trying to push for your socialist programs, and Bernie Sanders, AOC. These are social, the predominant socialists out here right now. So I was just wondering where you would support her. That's all.
Okay. Well, again, with social democracy, which is different than just a straight socialism. Basically, it's at the will of the people. So I'm still for the autonomy of the people in the government. Meaning, if the people want the program, we will elect politicians to make it happen. If the people don't want the program, we will not elect the politicians to make those things happen. I believe that Bernie Sanders has never said anything about not being a socialist, right? He's never lied about that. He's been saying that for 30 years, but he's continued to get elected to office and things of that nature. So if he is elected to president, it's because the people decide that that's the type of person they want leading, and that's totally up to the people. What I'm saying is capitalism is not in the Constitution. There's no rule or law that says we have to be a capitalist society. I'm saying let's continue to leave it up to the people, because some of the most popular programs and the most popular proposals in the country right now are socialist programs.
All right.
Okay. Well, so he worked his way around that question. So can you show me a socialist country, or tell me a socialist country that is succeeding?
Yeah.
Do you know any?
Tyrone, this is a good opportunity to bring up my first slide, actually.
Okay.
And I'm going to prove that socialist democracies are happier, right? They have more upward mobility, and they're healthier as nations, point blank, period.
The happiness chart.
Bring up the happiness chart.
All right. And again, if you guys haven't got a chance, hit subscribe. Let some people know what we're doing. And again, in this debate, we are showing you what they are talking about. Bringing it up right now, Robert.
Okay. So we have a happiness chart. This is a really simple one, but there are other ones also. This one's from Bloomberg, but there are also ones for the United Nations. They do happiness every year. Now, let's look at the happiness of each individual country here. Okay. So we've got Finland, Denmark, Norway, Iceland, and Netherlands as the top 5. What do these top 5 countries have in common besides being in about the same portion of the country, part of the world? They're all social democracies. Each one of these nations is a social democracy. Each of them have socialized healthcare, for one, and they also have socialized school systems that promote equity. They're also some of the best school systems in the world as well. So basically, again, you see United States right there. They're 19. So I mean, there are at least 5 social democracies where the people are overall happier than in the United States.
All right. You want me
and
to
they're the
stop?
top in the world too. I mean, come on.
You want me to take it down?
Okay.
Go ahead, take it down. It's just one quick point.
All right.
Okay. All right. Now, now I would like to go to, if you can, Tyrone, please, can you bring up my Forbes? Sorry, Bernie Bros, but Nordic countries are not socialists, please.
All right. All right, we have that brought up.
Thank you very much. Now, if you look at Robert's happy chart that he just posted, 4 of the top 5 countries were Nordic countries. Those are I wrote them down: Finland, Denmark, Norway, and Iceland. Those are Nordic countries. Netherlands, that's European, but the top 4 of the top 5 were Nordic countries. Now, I'm just going to read all the people here who want to be socialists are trying to understand socialism, because he's trying to put this whole socialist democracy thing on the end, but it's really just a socialist. It's a democracy because, yeah, we're electing them, but they want a socialist government with a socialist ideology and how they operate. Now, I'm going to read something simple out of this article, and you guys can take your time, all the people watching, to go read this article for yourself and do more research. Now, hold on, I got it. Hold on one second. All right. In this article, this is from Forbes magazine too. It says it is certainly true that Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark are notable economic successes. What is false is that these countries are particularly socialist. Perhaps a better name for what the Nordic countries practice would be compassionate capitalism. Okay, compassionate capitalism. And see, you can read this article for yourself, but basically what they're talking about here when they say compassionate capitalism is, I'm going to use Iceland as my example here, because a lot of socialists, not just Robert, but I've been through this with socialists before. I know how they operate. I know what they say. A lot of them like to point to Iceland as being their number one socialist country, and it's not a socialist country. You just read the article right there, a piece of the article. I just read it to you. You can go through and read it yourself and do more research. But I'm going to use Iceland as an example to explain this whole situation. Now, if you look at Iceland, for example, the population of Iceland, and you can do the research yourself on this, the population of Iceland is 358,000 people. Okay. I'm just going to give you one example. Columbus, Ohio has in the metropolitan area has over 2 million. So we're talking about a country that has 358,000 people in it. But in Columbus, it's the 13th largest city, and it's the 13th largest city in the country, and it's had over 2 million people in it. Okay, so I'm showing you how small Iceland is. Okay, now Iceland does have a universal health care, but with 358,000 people in it, it's a little bit easier to do, especially when they're pretty much all Caucasians. 99% of Iceland is Caucasian, so you want to look out for your people. So it just makes sense from that angle. Okay, so now Iceland ranks as in the world as the first in world median income of adults. Okay, but here goes another thing. Iceland doesn't have a illegal alien problem. Now, I've asked Robert before, is he pro-immigration? And him and the other brother who was in the comment, I ain't gonna say his name now because he's not here to defend himself, but Robert knows what I'm talking about. They're pro-immigration. They're on this whole we love everybody situation. Well, America has over 11.4 million illegal documented aliens in this country. If you can pop that chart up for me, Tyrone, please, the 11.4 million illegal aliens. Did I send that one to you? And how much they cost us, or you can go to the you know what? You can just go to the they cost us 60 billion.
Hospitals feeling the strain. Let me see.
Or the 60 billion they cost us in healthcare every year.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll pull it up while you talk.
Okay, thank you. So now, Iceland also does not have a standing army. America has a standing army, obviously, and we have military bases all the way throughout the country, all the way throughout the world, I should say. So Iceland does not have a standing army, so they're not spending money on that. They're not spending money on illegal aliens. They don't have illegal aliens just flooding in.
Yeah.
And a lot of these socialists are pro-immigration. They're really a lot of thank you. Aging undocumented immigrants pose costly healthcare. This is CNN, so this is your liberal, left-leaning, socialist newspaper here, basically telling you what's really going on. And if you do more research, you'll see that they cost us over $60 billion every year in hospital bills and Medicare. So they're, these illegals that these socialists want to protect and think we should just bring in by the boatload, they're getting this. So I don't understand how, these socialists think we can do a universal health care when we got military spending. We got illegal aliens coming in by the boatload, just climbing across the border, just coming in. And how do they expect us to be able to do this? So what those Nordic countries is really practicing is capitalism. But just like I said, when it said, you heard what the article called it. They called it compassionate capitalism, because the people over there who are making the money, they're paying their people more money and they're spreading out the wealth, which could be done. But over here, they're not going to do that because you got illegals coming in who will work for cheaper than the people who are already here. So in Iceland, when it's 99% Caucasian and the Caucasians run the whole thing, and there's only 358,000 Caucasians in the whole place, it's a lot easier to spread the wealth around. But you best believe if they had, we'll just say, 1 million illegals in their country who will work for free or cheaper, I should say, not free, who will work for cheaper, and they had illegals flooding the hospital and getting free health care, it will be a lot harder for them to take care of their people with this universal health care. So universal health care, it sounds good. It really does. It sounds wonderful. But if you can't fix all these other issues that are going on and you're pro-immigration at the same damn time, it's just not going to work. So this is why I am against immigration. I'm against immigration of any kind. I don't want another damn illegal to come in here, period.
All right, Anthony, here, let's let Robert get a chance to go ahead and lay out what he wants to say and maybe respond to things that you want to say. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm first of all, just to be on the record at Soapbox Heroes, I'm against illegal immigration, but I'm not against immigration. Some people, most people come here that come to America, come here legally, and I'm for that. Anybody that wants to come here and use the legal means to get here, yeah, I think there needs to be immigration reform. We wouldn't have so many illegal immigrants if we had more immigration reform. Okay, but I have a question, because you brought up Iceland and their small population as a reason why they were able to do universal health care. How many developed Western nations don't have universal health care, regardless of population? How many don't have it?
You said how many don't have it?
How many Western?
Well, I mean, here goes my thing. I know you're going. I know you're going to go to Canada. I know you're going to go to Canada. All the other countries that you named.
How many don't? That's it. You're talking about countries that do. How many don't?
Yeah, Anthony, if you can, just try to answer his question, and then if you want to respond to it after, like you feel like you didn't get enough, we'll add that to the question part. You know what I'm saying? So just keep in mind what he asked so we can get to it.
Well, if he's going to talk about Western countries, and I'm talking about European countries, because Mexico doesn't have it, and it doesn't have it.
Bro, we'll say
so developed nations, America would be the main one who doesn't have it, and probably a couple of the European countries don't have it too. But other than that,
America's the only one that doesn't have it. The only one, meaning other countries like Germany, which have huge, massive amounts of immigration, They have universal health care, right?
Does Germany have a standing army?
Yes.
No. Germany has they have a very small army.
It's
very,
small.
very small, because
So
they
let's
weren't
address
allowed
that.
to
So let's
even
address that.
to.
Let's address that. Do you know why America's army is so big?
I mean, they're always at war. I mean, they're
Right.
the police.
And why are
They're
we
the
always at
police.
war? Why are we always at war?
Because we like to take shit down. I mean,
Right.
it's
We
just
want
that
to take
simple.
people's natural resources to feed our capitalist society. Because capitalism is about greed. And what we do is we take that greed and we destabilize other nations. We change regimes for other nations. We get to pick who rules what. And if you're not getting down with what we're doing, we lay you down. That's what we've done. In the Middle East, how many countries have fallen to us simply because we wanted to make a play for their oil? In Venezuela, we've got sanctions against Venezuela, and we're trying to fund a coup in Venezuela because we want their oil, because they have the largest oil reserves in the world. So that's what I'm saying. So the people do not want these evil regime change wars going on. So if we peel back on some of these regime change wars and some of this military spending, guess what? We'd have a lot more money to help the people. See, the thing is, you're justifying military spending. You're about to justify military spending.
Don't talk for me. I'm about to. Okay. I'm gonna talk when you finally get done
listen,
talking.
This is what I need you to address. Then, how can you justify the size of our military? Why is that a problem when all we have to do, when we actually, and not an opportunity to reduce military spending in order to pay for things? Did you know also that according to a Koch brothers study, and you know the Koch brothers are as right wing as it gets in America, that you going to a single payer universal healthcare system would actually save us money over what people are paying now to private insurance companies to make them billions and billions of dollars.
Okay, now I would like to just combat something that he said earlier. There are more illegals coming in than legal immigrants, period. Anyone can do the research on this. There's only about 1 million with paperwork coming in every year. We got over 11.4 million illegals. And some of those people that come over with papers come over for a second. They don't even finish out the whole situation, and then they go and run out throughout the country as illegals. This is a fact. So this whole that they're all coming in and everything legit, that's false. That's a lie. Like, if you can bring up the one I sent you with the 11.4 million illegal immigrants in it, can you bring that one up for me, please?
Okay.
Now, when it comes to the standing army situation, I'm not pro-military, but I'm smart to recognize that that's the way how it's always going to be. I've accepted that. All this, you can go out there and protest if you like, do all that you want to. No one is going to stop the military-industrial complex. I don't care. Like, anybody who gets in there, you're not going to stop it. They'll blow your brains out before that happens, just like they did JFK. So, all right, now, thank you very much. And if you look at the top of this, you'll see 11.3 million unauthorized, okay? Unauthorized. And then that gives you the numbers of where they're coming from, almost 6 million Mexicans. So this whole idea that they're just coming over with papers, that's a myth. And my thing is, if you want universal health care, the more people you bring in, the harder it's going to be. Now, these European countries just started really seeing a boom in illegals popping over, but we've been seeing a boom for the last 20-something years of these illegals coming over, having kids. Yeah, they have kids who get to stay. They're calling them dreamers now. So I'm not with any of that. So when you look at these other countries that you're talking about that have this universal health care, I'm going to do more research on that, because I don't believe every Western country has universal health care. I don't believe it. And when you look at Canada, the Canadians have a lot of issues getting to doctors and all type of issues, and they don't have a legal alien problem like we do. So the whole thing that we're going to be able to be like these Nordic countries, because you showed the top 5. Now you can go off in like all these other Western countries, all you like, but your happiness chart showed 4 of the top 5 were Nordic countries that you thought were socialist countries, and they're not. And all those countries, one thing that all those countries have in common, all those Nordic countries on the top 5 of your happy chart, they're all 99% Caucasian, and they're all very small populations.
Okay.
It's just that simple. So those countries don't have natural resources at all. They're very small in population. They don't have military spending that we have. They don't have Mexicans and South Americans and all these illegal Africans and everybody who just comes over on the plane and don't want to go home. They don't have all those issues going on like we do. So we can't do the universal while we still got all these people here going to hospitals. Can you show did you already show the hospital strain? Can you show me the hospital? Can you post that, the one I sent you with the hospital strain? I don't think you actually posted that one yet.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Tyrone. Now, you guys can read these articles for yourself and do some research. I can sit here and talk, but I can't we don't have all the time in the world to read all these articles and let you do the research. But if you look at this one right here, it says hospitals feeling strain from illegal aliens. They call them immigrants, but they're illegal aliens. Now, if you do more research, you'll see that these illegal aliens was flooding the hospitals in Texas so bad that they had to shut down some hospitals in Texas. Yes, they were getting shut down. So the whole thing is, because what happened was the illegals, some of the hospitals in Texas had quit taking the illegals because it was putting such a strain on them, because they are trying to make money. I know it sounds crazy, but yes, they're trying to make money. They got to pay the nurses, they got to pay the doctors. People aren't just trying to work for free like they want you to in these socialist systems. So where you're going to school to be a doctor, but you're living like a person who works at McDonald's. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The people are in it to make money, and I don't have no issue with that. So the whole thing is, a lot of these illegal aliens, you can do the research on this, people, read the articles. They were calling the 911 and getting the ambulance to come pick them up so they can get the services, because the hospitals had quit taking them. And that was costing so much money that it shut down some hospitals. So, this whole illegals are bringing in all this because the other dude that was in the thing, he's not here to defend himself. I'm not going to say his name, but he was saying crazy stuff because a lot of them believe, these liberals and these socialists, that immigrants bring so much into the society and they pay so much in taxes and all these myths, but really they're draining the system. They're draining it. And this is you can't deny this. So the whole thing is, socialism is not going to work under these circumstances. It's just not going to work. And one thing about like Germany, for example, because I'm gonna do some more research on these other countries that supposedly are all universal healthcare. But I do know one thing about Germany. Germany is not trillions of dollars in debt. America is $1 trillion in debt. We're printing money like,
if they were making all that capitalist money, they wouldn't be in debt at all.
No. Hold on.
Anthony, and after you make this point, let's let Robert get in.
Okay. Now he just made a comment because he's so anti-capitalist. If we was making all this capitalist money, then we wouldn't be in this situation. People are making money. The government's not making money. And I would like to ask him a question. You're not you don't want to claim AOC. I get it. You don't want to claim any of these socialist people, but they're a part of what you want to have. You don't want to claim
people, claim ideas.
Okay. Well, in your socialist idea, how high should taxes be?
Well, the first thing that I look at when we're talking about funding programs, I'm not a type of person that always looks first to raising taxes. I look to reducing spending. So reducing spending is just as good as raising taxes. So first of all, if we reduce the amount of military spending that we're doing by getting out of Syria, right? Donald Trump wants to get out of Syria, right? But the people try to convince him that they're, to stay in it, right? His own staff. But, they're warmongers and bloodthirsty warmongers. And you obviously don't have a problem with bloodthirsty warmongers running our country. I do have a problem with it, yes. So let's get rid of those guys. Let's get out of Syria. Let's leave other Venezuela alone. Let's stop trying to pick a fight with Iran, which is also going to cost us trillions of dollars and American lives, mostly Black people lives, because 33% of people in the army are Black. So a lot of Black people are going to die if we allow them to pick this fight with Iran and continue to bomb Syria and those types of things like that. So let's reduce spending that way, right? Let's get rid of some of this government corruption. You remember the story where the Pentagon mysteriously lost trillions of dollars? Yeah. How about that's obvious corruption, right? But obviously, you think that what is that? The cost of doing business? This is what they call it in capitalism, right? Oh, it's just the cost of doing business. If we're going to have a big military, we got to allow this type of corruption to go on. But pull up, because basically it's like this. The reason that these countries have the ability to serve their people is because they don't have huge armies, right? They don't sit around and look for ways to go into other people's countries and destabilize them. So that they're more concerned about their people and the rights. And if you're going to give somebody, again, like I outlined in the beginning, if you're going to give someone a negative right, you have to reinforce certain positive rights in order to make that happen. Now, could you bring back his Forbes article, please? Just bring that back up for me, please.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's at 10 trillion? I was just thinking like a trillion or something. 10 trillion missing? Money don't just go missing. I might lose $1, but 10 trillion missing, and you don't think $10 trillion, how many homeless kids would that feed? How many starving families would that help? After all, starving families do pay taxes every time they buy stuff. They pay excise taxes, things of that nature. They deserve their government to work for them. There shouldn't be anybody hungry or poor in the richest country in America, in the world. And if you think that there should be hungry and poor people, then I don't know what you'd be thinking. But let's look at this. It says, sorry, Bernie bros, but Nordic countries are not socialist. So first of all, this is an op-ed. So for those of you that don't know about research, an op-ed is opinion. This is opinion. This is this guy's, his critique of a certain subject. Now, when he says that, right there, he says that what's false is that these countries are particularly socialist. See, he uses the word particularly, and you've got to look at what particularly when he says that. Oh, they're not as socialist as you might think. And I'm not saying they're not USSR. They're not the People's Republic of China. They're not North Korea. They're not that kind of socialist. He says perhaps a better name for what the Nordic countries practice would be compassionate capitalism. That's not a true statement. That's an opinion statement. Oh, perhaps we should call them compassionate capitalism. He's playing semantics with you people. These countries define themselves as social democracies. How is he going to tell them what they actually are? These countries actually call themselves socialist democracies. They have socialist parties that actually hold seats in their government right next to other capitalist parties, and they enact social programs and positive rights to reinforce the negative rights given to their people in their constitution. That's the definition of a social democracy, not based on what this guy says is an opinion in an op-ed. So you can't use an op-ed like it's some kind of scholarly article and try to pass it off. It's nonsense. He's trying to bend words in order to, because you understand that he's from Forbes magazine, right? Forbes magazine is something that's put in place to reinforce capitalism. They're bought and paid for by the same guys that are robbing you blind and losing $10 million, like the military industrial complex, like the big pharma and things of that nature. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Hold on one
Okay,
second.
yeah,
Wait,
okay,
before you jump in, Anthony, let me remind the people, if they just now watching, if they just now stepping in, we are debating the merits of social democracy versus American capitalism. Anthony is speaking for American capitalism, and the friend of the people is speaking of the social democracy, from the social democracy aspect. If you haven't got a chance, hit the like button. I always forget to say that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Anthony, go ahead.
okay. Now he's trying to attack the article because the truth hurts. I understand that. Now here goes the whole thing. Here goes the whole thing. Now America has welfare, and America has schools that are being paid for. America has the Democratic Party, Socialist Party too, and that's where your AOC, and that is where these people were coming from right now. So there is a branch of American government that are socialists, but just because America has socialist programs like Social Security doesn't make us a socialist country. And it's the same thing with these Nordic countries. So that's number one. Number two is, I would like to say that the brother Robert here is a one-of-a-kind socialist. Now, I'm going to get to real socialism and what's really being practiced. Now, he's got his own little form he's trying to, with his own little views he's trying to spin out. But now I'm going to go into real socialism and what these Democratic Party of Socialists, what they're really pushing with AOC, because no matter whether he wants to claim or not, that is who's the leading face. Her and Bernie Sanders are the leading figures right now of the Socialist Party and what they're the Democratic Socialists. So can you please bring up the AOC news clipping on the new Green Deal, please?
Got you.
Now, Robert wants to go into this whole, we can stop this military spending and this is how we should attack it, okay? But if you look at the people who he don't want to claim, but the socialists in this country who are pushing this socialism, like AOC and them, what they're trying to do is 70% tax cuts. She's not talking about military decreasing, because you cannot, I'm not pro-military spending. I'm going to get that out there. But like I said, I understand that no one is going to stop, because you're right. Trump was trying to get out of Syria. But what has been going on with him? They're harassing him, the Democrats, your socialists, AOC, she's always attacking him. They are attacking him because of his wanting to get out of, part of the reason, because he does want to get out of this military spending. Number two, your socialism and the socialists in America, no matter how, you're not in charge of these people. The main people pushing the agendas in the socialist movement, you're a socialist of your own kind, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, but your shit is not what's really going on around here. So I'm gonna go back to this article right here. Anyone who wants to do the research on the new Green Deal, please take your time. This is not a op-ed, is what he's trying to, look, the whole thing is, the socialists in America, the ones who are in office, they're pushing a 70% tax rate right now on the people. This is fucking horrible.
On the people?
Excuse my language. Yeah.
What does
now,
it say?
Here goes the whole thing.
What does it say?
Now, hold on. Come on, man. Look, I let you do your little thing. Now, just let me do mine. Now, she's trying to tax millionaires and billionaires at a 70% rate. So all the people who's watching this right now who don't understand how socialism works, I'm about to break it down. Not Robert's form where we're going to go and take away the military and all. That's not happening. This is how socialism is going to work in this country. And the only way it's going to work in this country. They want to tax the rich. Now, it sounds good because if you're not rich, you're thinking, that's great, man. We'll just take money from the people. But imagine if one day your children or you come up with an idea and you're sitting at the house and you're like, you know what, man, I'm going to come up with this game and it's going to be an app and I'm going to get it put on the iTunes stores. And all of a sudden, your little idea that you came up with this app turns out to be a 10 million. I'm just going to throw a number out there, a $10 million idea. And you make $10 million off of this idea. Because this can happen in a capitalist country. You can come up with your own ideas and come up with your own things and you could write a book and become a New York Times bestseller. And let's say you make $10 million off of this, right? and you're sitting at home, you're like, man, I came up with this. Nobody was there when I was coming up with that app or when I was writing that book. When I thought about that book and I put my time in, and I wrote for hours, and and I edited it myself, and I did all this work, and now I made $10 million under the socialist program that you're going to see here in America. Not Robert's socialist program, but the one you're going to see through AOC, the new Green Deal. They're going to take 70% of that. What is 70% of $10 million? $7 million. That's what they're going to take. And he can, he can shake his head all he wants. Do the research yourself, people. That's all I got to tell you. So imagine if you come up with an idea and you make $10 million and they take 7 million of it to give away to people who wasn't there even working with you, who didn't get you a loan to help you with the idea, who just sat on their asses, or some legal immigrant who then snuck across the damn border, who these people are defending because AOC is defending them, and they take your $7 million to give it away to damn everybody. How would you feel about that? That is your socialist. That is your socialism. That's what it is. And he can deny it all he wants. He's not in charge of the Socialist Party. He's not there writing the new Green Deal. And he can deny it all he wants. Go do the research on the new Green Deal yourself. See.
Anthony, somebody must be calling him or something. Go ahead, Robert.
No, my bad. I hit the button on accident. But that article right there that he just pushed.
All right, here, we'll let Robert go ahead, Anthony, and when you come back, we'll let you pick up. Go ahead, okay. Robert.
Back to his article, please.
Go back to the article, AOC. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Hold on, my bad. I'm back. I don't know what happened, but I just want to say this real quick. That the socialist programs and how they're going to operate it, that's how they're going to do it. They're going to take your money. So at the end of the day, let's not play this. This is what it is, and he can deny all he wants. Just do the research on the new Green Deal. Read it yourself. Take the time to read it. Take the time to read it. And all that right. article, and that article is from a left wing.
Right, military industrial complex pays for MSNBC.
All right, hold on. Go ahead, Robert.
To your credit, Anthony, it's not an op-ed. It's a report. So let's go to the report and let's look at it. And I don't have to. So let's scroll down because it has direct quotes from Ocasio-Cortez in it, right? So we don't have. There's no faking a direct quote. It's a direct quote. So it's not like, oh, I'm not going to automatically say that this article is crooked or something. It's reporting. Okay, I give you, you know what I mean? So just go down to the article and let's see what the article says. Because I know there's something in the article. Keep going. Okay, so look, that last paragraph where it says a 60 minutes interview. So keep going down. Go down a little bit more. Okay, stop right there. Look at her quote. You look at the tax rates back in the 60s when you have a progressive tax rate system. So in the 60s, we're a capitalist country, had a progressive tax rate system, right? And your tax rate, from 0 to 75,000, maybe 10% or 15%, etc. She told 60 Minutes. Keep going. Scroll down some more. But once you get to the tippy tops on your 10 millionth dollar, right? Sometimes you see tax rates as high as what? 60 or 70%. So what's happening is, this is not something that is new. This is what rich people used to get taxed at when they were making a ton of money. This is how they were taxing rich people. They used to have a progressive tax rate where in the highest tax brackets back in the 40s and 50s, they would get taxed 90% on their highest part of their income. So this is what this is basically explaining, is that when you make that $10 million you're talking about, Anthony, guess what? That $10 million would still be taxed at the current rate, which is the 36%. Now, when you get to that 10 million in first dollar, that 10 million in first dollar would be taxed at 70%, and then subsequently every dollar like that. You know how many people make $10 million a year or more in America? Not very many. It wouldn't be this tax hike would not affect a whole lot of people, but it would help a lot of people. Did you know that Donald Trump cut taxes over $1 trillion to the richest Americans. And so that was that tax cut was unbelievably unfair. For the richest Americans to get $1 trillion tax cut was unbelievably unfair. So all we're saying is, hey, can you guys pay your fair share? We put a tax rate in place that is something that is something that the same rate you've always been paying before, instead of dropping you down to the lowest tax rate that they've had in decades. And we're going to use that and to, instead of pay for military spending and things of that nature, we're going to use it to actually help people. What would you do? I mean, what do you want to spend your tax money on? You're going to pay taxes no matter what, Anthony. I hate to break it to you. You know what I mean? I hate to break it to you. I know you don't want to pay no taxes. I don't either. But guess what? You're going to have to pay taxes. Now, when you pay those taxes, what do you want your tax dollars to go to? Do you want it to go to more military spending and more wars? Do you want it to give to make up for tax rates for the rich? Do you want it to bail out banks instead of bailing out people? Or do you want to make sure that because there's 15 million starving children in America, the richest country in the world, 15 million starving people, do you want to make sure those kids eat every day? Would you rather your tax money make sure that poor people have the same access to healthcare as anybody else would deserve? Because healthcare is a right for people to have. Would you rather that your tax money goes to make sure that your people, that the American people and the poorest Americans, which are your people, are straight? Or would you rather keep continuing to serve the powers that be, and that basically make all the money first of all, and then you take your tax dollars and make up for them whenever they slip and slide, and give them tax breaks? A company like Amazon should not have should never have to pay zero taxes. They should never get to the point where they're paying zero taxes. And when someone says, hey, this is wrong, why would someone not agree with that when you're paying more taxes than Amazon?
Okay. All right. Now, all right. So are you done now? Okay. I'm about to answer some of these questions.
I'm not done, but you actually have something to say.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to go into this whole situation. Now, he can say, well, we did this 70% tax thing back in the day, but times have changed. Now I'm going to break this down. Are you familiar with the Paradise Papers? Now, all the people, I don't know if he's familiar with it or not. Are you familiar with it, Robert? Okay. Now, the Paradise Papers came out. If you can bring that article up for me, possibly, Tyrone, do you have the Paradise Paper I sent you? Now, yes, okay. Now, back in the 60s and 70s, or back in the 50s and 60s or whatever, when this tax thing was going on, you see that Paradise Paper. This came out. Apple's secret tax boat hole revealed. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm gonna break this down for you. What these people can do when they start feeling like they're gonna get taxed really, really high. What they do now. Okay, there's places where you can take your money to get the tax for dirt cheap. So you have people like Apple who avoids paying right now. Do you have the article I sent you where it says Apple avoids $60 billion in taxes?
Yep.
And see, Apple is just one example. He went to Jeff Bezos, but Jeff Bezos and Amazon is actually creating jobs in this country. Okay, he's building warehouses all over the country right now. Okay, now you look at Apple. Apple's not building factories all over and creating jobs all across the country. So what companies like Apple and them are doing is they're taking their money, and Vice is a super left leaning liberal socialist. You can't say this is the industrial complex. I know that's your new thing, but this right here is from the super left, Vice. Now, and there's other ones you can do the research on this. Anybody can take time to read it. So what's going on is these companies like Apple, they're going to open up new businesses and warehouses in other countries. And when they make the money, they keep the money away from here. They're putting it in places like what that Paradise Paper will tell you. They're putting it in. You can go. These are places you can go and hide your money and keep it where you don't have to pay the taxes. They don't even want to pay the taxes at the 30%. Do you really think they're going to bring the companies over here and bring the money back over here at a 70%? Just think about this, people. So here it goes. You got places like the British Virgin Islands, Bermuda, the Cayman Islands, even Switzerland, where you can take your money and get it dropped off and get and pay a 3%. You hear me? 3% tax rate on it. Actually, 3.7% tax rate on it, and you can keep your money over there and still live like a fat rat and never bring it over here. So when you overtax, you're just making it to where people just take the money and run, and that is what is happening. So he talks about the 50s and 60s. What they did was these rich people found out, like, you know what, man, we're being robbed. How can we get out of this? Okay, we're being robbed right now. We're going to take this money and we're going to bounce. And that's all you're going to do. Now, if you say we shouldn't let them do that, then you're getting to the communist side. And that's why a lot of people call you people, these socialist communists, because you get to a point where you get so desperate that you like, oh, well, we should just stop them from doing that. Then you're just full-fledged communist. So
hold on.
When you start,
I just have a question based on what you just said. So you think it's okay for companies to dodge taxes?
I'm saying that, look, whether I think it's okay or not, it doesn't matter because they're going to do it.
So if it doesn't matter, then why you don't care if we go after those companies? Why should those companies be able to get tax breaks in America if they're going to dodge taxes? Why should those companies even be in America if they're going to dodge taxes?
Oh, so see.
Anthony,
Hold on, bro.
Anthony, if you dodge taxes, they will be at you, Anthony. They'll be trying to put you in prison.
No,
Anthony.
not if I do it how they're doing it. Okay, and that's the whole thing.
Taxes. No, you on your regular income taxes. You're a regular person.
You see what he's doing. You see what he's doing.
Hold on.
No, you see what you're
Let me finish.
Hold on.
Let me finish, bro.
Let's do this. Let's make sure that whatever we do, we directly answer each other's questions and that we let each other speak. And even in a rebuttal, even if we don't like what the other person is saying, let them finish, and then we'll respond to that in return.
Got it.
Thank you very much, and I'll make sure.
I wasn't speaking to nobody in general.
I know.
Directly. I'm just talking in general. Keep it flowing.
I understand.
You should. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, and I don't mind the brother being passionate, but I gotta stick to my facts here real quick. So now, if you look at Apple right now, Apple has over $44 billion outside the country at a 3.7% tax rate. So regardless whether I think it's right or not doesn't matter, because when you get enough paper, there's so many loopholes that are designed that they can do this. So all you're going to do is chase all these people out the country. And I'll be honest with you, if I had this kind of money, and if and whether these socialists believe that they're ever going to be capable of getting this kind of money, because I still believe I can become a multi-millionaire in this country. The opportunity is there. So if I get to the point where I'm making this kind of money, and AOC and these socialist Democrats tell me I gotta pay 70%, I'm gonna go open up my businesses in China, Southeast Asia, and I'm running with my money. And I will put my money in the Cayman Islands like they do, get me a Cayman Island credit card, and when I'm over here in America, I'll use my Cayman Island credit card to keep on paying your ass 70%. I wouldn't even be happy paying the 37%. And you know, I'm not going for this virtuous thing where I'm some virtuous guy and I'm going to show you I'm just the most virtuous and I'm out here trying to feed the whole world. I'm not. Like, I'll help people when I want to help them. If I feel like helping people, I will help them. But I'm not going to give nobody 70% of my money. I'm not going to do it. So I'll be honest with you. I don't have no hard feelings that these people don't want to pay 37% or 70%. And here goes the thing. If you do the research, and you people out here can do the research on this, if you look at Google, these are companies in Silicon Valley, Google, Cisco, all them type of companies that are Silicon Valley companies, they're opening up, they got tons of companies and tons and centers over in Ireland. And you know why that is? because Ireland has a 12.5% tax rate. So instead of having those jobs in America, they're building them in Ireland so the Irish can get these jobs because it's a 12.5% tax rate. So if you overtax people, they're going to bounce. They're going to bounce. So what should we say? Ooh, we shouldn't let them do that. And once you do that, you're getting to the point where you want the government to control everything, control people's businesses. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let the brother talk. This is the last thing I say on this note. If you let these people, thank you. Yeah, that's the article I sent you right there. It says, if Google is in Ireland for tax reasons, why are most of its profits in Bermuda? Just what I just broke down. They got loopholes around this. These rich guys are running around with Cayman Island credit cards and Bermuda credit cards. There's ways around this, and you can say, "Oh, these people, they're not good people. They should just be feeding them. They should give all their money away to 11.4 million illegals, and they should just give their money away." No, that's not how this situation should work. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to let the brother talk. If you tax these people how they want, the jobs are going to take off. Just like how, if you look at, like, in America right now, they're trying to raise the minimum wage. And what's starting to happen? They're creating kiosks in McDonald's, kiosks in all these places where you can go in. I was just in Kroger's the other day, because I'm at the store all the time. They have this thing called pay as you go now, where you can walk in, put it in a bag, scan it, and walk out without going to the cashier or anything. So they're going to get rid of your asses. So all you socialist people who think you're just going to push this down people and you're going to make them pay you all this money and you're going to make them do the minimum wage, they'll bump the minimum wage up. But you best believe some people are going to lose their jobs because of it. Period.
Beautiful. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just go straight down. I have some things that you've said that I just want to address. Okay. First of all, basically, I'm kind of appalled that you promote these companies coming to America, exploiting American workers, and then not paying their fair share. When they drive on the roads, like Amazon, if they deliver something to your house, they use roads that we all paid for. The people that work and they're higher level people are people that went to school, paid for their own training in colleges and things of that nature. They take those people, use their labor. Okay. They underpay people. They underpay a lot of their workers. Then when it's time for them to actually pay taxes, you actually promote them taking advantage of, I mean, I don't even have an adjective besides maybe evil laws that were put in place by capitalists to protect other capitalists, no matter how it affects the people. And you just seem like, and that's cool. You justify them basically not paying taxes. Oh yeah, of course. So who would? I wouldn't. I'm not a virtuous okay, you're not a virtuous person, but guess what? Some people are. Some people want to see virtue in the government. Some people want our government to represent the best of us. Okay. And then the good thing about America is because we can decide who actually represents us in government, then we can. Now, if the people are not virtuous and they want to see more of that, then they'll decide that. But I don't think the people do. I think people are fed up with being underpaid. I think people are fed up with 78% of people living paycheck to paycheck. I think that they're fed up with 40 million people not having health care and then even more underinsured. I think that people are fed up with bailing banks out after they gamble away people's money. And so the government gets together our taxpayer dollars to bail banks out as opposed to bailing people out that lost their homes back in 2008. I think that the people are fed up with those things. If they're not, I guess it will prove, I've got a lot more to say. If not, I guess they'll prove it when they go to the ballot box if they're not fed up. If they are, though, I want the people to know that there are alternatives to simply the status quo. See, you and others who will go unnamed, but he's on the show. He's in the comments right now. You guys see things the way that they are and the way they've been, and you think that that's the way they always should be or always could be. You guys are used to bending over and taking it, and you guys don't mind continually taking over and bending it for the hopes that maybe one day you might be one of them. That is terrible. You'll never be one of them, according to them. Even if you made the $1 million don't mean nothing to billionaires. And it certainly don't mean nothing to multi-billionaires. So you go make your $1 million. I bet you pay more taxes than them on your millions than they pay on their billions. They're still laughing at you. So trying to be like them and trying to suck up to them is not going to help. Okay? The possibility of becoming a millionaire, there's plenty of millionaires in Canada. I hate to break it to you. Social democracy does not take away the possibility of being a millionaire because they still have free markets in social democracy. It's just that when we see a negative right given by the Constitution, we want the government to work in conjunction with the people to protect the positive right on the other side of that. It's just that simple. Why wouldn't we protect people's right to an education if we have a right to free speech? If we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, why wouldn't we protect people's right to have health care? That makes sense. That's what I'm saying. So basically, you're just chalking it up to, you know what? These people are corrupt. They're going to be that way. There's no way to change that. I've been taking it for years. I'm just going to continue to take it. Maybe one day they'll let me in their golf club. Do you see how crazy that is? That's a crazy way to think. You know what I mean? And if so what? Did you know that if the richest Americans paid 2% more in taxes, it would cover, we could be able to send everybody to college for free. Do you know? So we would have a more educated workforce because they take those people and they put them in their businesses and they help those people help them make money. So a more educated workforce actually benefits those people. It doesn't benefit you if I go get a master's degree, but if I go get a master's degree and go work at a Fortune 500 corporation and help make them money, it directly benefits them. But who has to pay for that training? Do they pay for it? No, they don't pay for it. I pay for it for myself. And I go through massive student loan debt and just to work for them and to make them way more money than they're going to pay me. You think that's cool? Okay, that's fine. All right. But at the same time, how are you promoting that? But then you're promoting, you're saying, oh, blacks need group economics, and that's going to overcome some of the inequity that's been going on. But at the same time, you get mad at other people using group economics everywhere. You say, well, these people get together, the Chinese people, the whatever you want to say, and they come into our neighborhoods, they do that. Guess what? That's capitalism. Capitalism is about competition. And if niggas want to get done up and go and shop with other nations and do that, that's guess what? You shouldn't have nothing to say about that because the winners are the winners and the losers are the losers in capitalism, period. You should just look at it like, hey, they got us. They got us. That's all you can really say at that point. You understand what I'm saying? Welfare programs and handouts, right now, only 8% of what America even pays from their tax revenue goes to welfare programs to help the poorest Americans. And everybody on welfare ain't on welfare because they're lazy. Some people lose their jobs because of things like automation and stuff like that, which is perfectly fine. A capitalist has a right to make as much money as they want. So if they want to automate and get rid of jobs, that's on them. That's perfectly fine. They should be able to do that, right? It's capitalism. So why would you complain about somebody getting welfare because they lost their job, or someone getting unemployment insurance when they actually pay for unemployment insurance when they work? You know what I mean?
Can I combat some of this soon?
Yeah, after I finish talking, you can say whatever you want.
Here, let's let him.
Yeah, because you've been going for a while, brother.
No, Anthony. Let's let Robert finish saying what he want to say. And then when he get finished saying what he say, we'll give you the same amount of time.
Okay.
To say what you want to say. Just remember what you want to say so you can add it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I write it down.
Undocumented aliens. I don't like the fact there's undocumented aliens in America to the degree that there are, simply because it shows that we need immigration reform. We need to make the path to citizenship better so that we can better have a better, more symbiotic relationship with these people. plain and simple. Okay, and it doesn't start. They're going to be here whether they're citizens or not. Well, then we need to get rid of the fact that they're illegal so that we can make sure that we're taking care of them properly and that they're being productive citizens in this country. So, but they actually, undocumented immigrants actually paid $20 billion in taxes last year, and they don't get tax returns. So, I mean, and they pay excise taxes because they still buy stuff here in America. They buy American products. They shop in American stores. So they pay taxes here. So let's not act like their impact is not felt, because I know you're not getting out there. You're not picking one apple. You're not picking one leaf of lettuce. You're not doing none of that. You're not going to be a migrant farmer, Anthony. So don't, you know what I mean? When they come over here and take those kind of jobs and do those kind of jobs, I remember when they started deporting a lot of illegal immigrants under Obama, and then they had people in some of those growers, those large capitalist people in Congress, like, we don't have the resources or the people necessary because you guys are stalking immigrants and you guys are taking them out. We don't have the people to even pick the produce to bring to market. So they actually contribute to capitalism in America. This was all in Congress. It's all well documented. But basically, let me get back to my points on social democracy. Just bring up my next clip here, which is basically that social democracy countries are actually more productive. They're actually more productive than American is. So that's what basically comes down. So bring that next one up, man.
Okay.
Because there's more than one way to create money in a society. So social democracy, if everything was about the people being unhappy or people not having, if people just getting handouts from the government, then they wouldn't be very productive. They'd be very lazy people, wouldn't they? But for some reason, the most productive countries in the world are all social democracies.
All right, I'm pulling it up, but for some reason it won't let me pull it up. It says, go ahead, talk about it, and I'll find it.
Okay, hold on. I'm pulling it up on my phone here so I can see what I'm looking at here.
If you guys haven't got a chance, hit that subscribe button. Today we are sitting here and we are debating the merits of social democracy versus American capitalism. It's on Collective Hub, and I see it. So I'll go to Collective Hub and I'll put world's most productive countries. Yes, it's not letting me pull it up. It won't let me pull up Collective Hub.
No problem. Go to the healthiest countries.
Okay.
See, it's all about the success of a economic system is about results, because the government's job is to serve the people. I don't think Anthony understands that. I think he thinks that the people serve the government or at the government's pleasure, but really the government's job is to serve the people and to give the people what they want and to take care of their people. And you can always tell what kind of government. Like if you don't like a regime, or you don't like when the United States wants to turn you against a regime, like they want to turn you against Venezuela, they always say something like, Maduro is treating the people. They're not treating the people well there. People are starving. They tell you that so you can feel bad, and then they kind of justify going in there and starting regime change wars, even if they have to lie to do it. Well, then that's how you know that the way you treat a country is the way your country treats its people is the measure for success. Okay, so we're going to the healthiest countries in 2019. Okay, so go ahead and scroll down. This is from the World Population Review. Okay, so you've got so they've highlighted some of the best countries and some of the factors, okay? And they've given them a rating out of 100. And you see these countries that are lit up here, those are the top countries. So the 25 healthiest countries. Just look at them. Where's the United States? Where's this the top 25? Where's the United States? Oh, it's not on here. Okay, so scroll up. Guess what all these countries have in common? I think Anthony already knows what they have in common. They all have socialized healthcare. There is no, and they're from different parts of the world. So it's not like just a Scandinavian thing, anything like that. They all have socialized healthcare because they understand that healthcare is a right, and that when your people are healthier, your country's better, your people are happier. It's plain and simple. It just makes sense. Okay. So, I mean, while you guys it's cheaper to have socialized healthcare, they realize that too. So it saves their nation's money. You know what I mean? Money that they can actually use for other things instead of, and some of these countries actually do the least amount of warmongering. Some of them are warmongers for sure, but a lot of these countries, the least amount of participation when it comes to global conflicts. So I have a question for Anthony, and then he can take off and say, for forever,
I'm ready.
Do you believe that when the population of a country is healthier and better taken care of, is actually beneficial to the economy of that country?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's a tough question. The way how you're trying to put it. I mean, obviously you would say yeah, but universal health care in this country is impossible because you just sit up there and try to make it like these illegals don't have an impact on the healthcare system when I already showed you that they do. So those billions of dollars that you're saying they're bringing in is not even covering their medical that we have to spend on them. So it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, it sounds good. But this is my thing when it comes to these socialists. You guys have this whole thing set up where you think it's going to be this perfect world and we're all going to be on equal playing field and we're all going to be happy and we're all going to have money and all this stuff. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And here goes another thing when it comes to the whole minimum wage situation. Now, minimum wage, if you hike the minimum wage too high, it's going to hurt small businesses. Because when you're a small business, and let's say you're only employing, we'll just say 3, 4, 5, 6 people, under 10, we'll say, for example, like that type of small business. If you got to pay everybody $15, $20 an hour and you're just starting to get going, you're not going to be able to grow. So you're going to hurt small businesses. So with your socialist ideology that you guys want to push, small businesses will crash. And if you look at California, for example, do you have the one I sent you, Tyrone, about how California, how the businesses bailed in California because of the high taxes and all the regulations?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you can bring it up, that would be nice. But I'll go ahead and just go on about this situation. If you look at California, anyone can do the research on this, man. Just take the time and do the research on it. There's so many companies that are bailing to Texas right now because Texas has lower taxes and Texas has less regulations. So California companies flee business, hostile state in droves. And that's really what's going on right now. So in California is ran by Democrats. And they are, with so much going on, these companies are packing up and running. The people, look, now, them people from California, majority of them are fleeing to like Nevada and they're fleeing to Texas. Like Texas is really great from the research that I've read, the documentaries I've watched, and from what I've seen. Texas is fantastic. But just think under their socialist ideology, if Texas had to hike everything up to 70% like AOC and these socialists want to do, them people would have been like, you know what? F Texas, we about to go to China. They're going to bounce. So there's nothing you can do to stop that. Now, he tried to play me off like, oh, well, you're promoting that. No, I'm accepting it for what it is. Because if it was me, I would bounce.
Right.
I would bounce. I have kids of my own. I have grandkids of my own that I want to leave stuff to, that I want to take care of. And I got my own family that I'm trying to build. I'm not saying I wouldn't help people, but I don't want the government to come in and take 70% of what I make. It's just that simple. And then when you talk about universal health care, I've already went through this. Um, can you bring up the article about the brother, may he rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle benefiting from Trump's tax breaks for
Okay.
his gentrification programs that he was trying to gentrify his own community. Now, he already said, and anyone who wants to, they can watch these videos from the beginning. He already proposed the idea in his mind that he's probably watching CNN or MSNBC or wherever, that the only people who are benefiting from Trump's tax breaks are billionaires and trillionaires and all this. He said this. So you can go back and watch the whole thing and you'll see where this man, Robert, where he said this. But I'm going to show you an article, and anyone can go out here and do the research on this, that Nipsey Hussle, may he rest in peace, was using Trump's tax breaks to gentrify, say, his own community. So you don't have to be this billionaire like the brother Robert was saying, and like a lot of these socialists like to push, because they're so stuck on their ideology and what they believe that they can't let go. Hope this is on a good website, so it should be easy to bring up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so inside Nipsey Hussle blueprint to become a real estate mogul. If you read this article, and there's some other articles out there too, Nipsey was using Trump's tax breaks. The racist Trump. I know how a lot of people think. I think they're all got race, but that's just me. Clinton is definitely a racist. But look, here go my whole thing. Trump's tax break, Nipsey Hussle was using that to buy buildings in his own community, and he was starting to gentrify his own community with these tax breaks. So don't believe these socialists when they tell you that Trump's tax breaks are only for the mega rich. If you're making millions of dollars or getting to that point where you're making a few million, these tax breaks are for you too. You know what I mean? Like, so don't believe that whole theory that and it's hard for me to see right now. I should have went to my thing so I could have read a couple pieces out of there. But
I'm
you
on the
brothers
part
can
right now where it's talking about the opportunity zones.
Yeah, can you read that then, like the little part where it talks about him benefiting from Trump? Because I read it, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
Okay, it says the purchase of the plaza also marks the beginning of a coalition called Our Opportunity, led by Gross with Nipsey as a founding partner, that will aim to team with local legends in 10 cities as a part of a broader opportunity zone based fund. That's one part right there. Okay. There are basically no limits to the amount of money that can be plowed into opportunity zones or the amount of taxes that can be avoided. It is possible the program is excessively business friendly, not for the ambiguous goals backers say.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead. What if you had something else to say about it?
I'm trying to see if I can. Okay, so basically it's like this. At the end of the day, man, there's ways out here to make money. And if you have this defeated mind state that you're never going to achieve anything and you're not going to be able to reach these goals and you're not going to be able to make any money, then you're going to really hate capitalism. The thing is, you can make it happen. You don't, yourself. You can make it happen. You got to keep your credit good. That's number one. Keep your credit good. Save your money. Don't go out and spend your money with everybody else and on dumb stuff. I used to spend my money on really dumb stuff. I used to have a Jordan collection and all this type of dumb stuff. It's not capitalism's fault that I'm not where I should be right now. It was my own decision making. I used to have 4 cars at one time and just dumb shit. And it's just, if you spend your money bad, you're going to be in a bad situation. You have to be smart with your money, and you can capitalize and make things happen in this society. But if you start making money and they want to take 70% taxes from you, you're never really gonna grow how you should. And the sad thing is, what Robert doesn't understand is, and people like him in the socialist movement, that really, if they start taxing people at a 70% rate, a lot of these white folks are already dumb, stupid, rich, and they already got their money offshores and everything like that. So the only people who's really going to be hurt are the new people trying to come up and trying to get where they are at. So they got to do the 12%, the 3.5% Cameron Island tax rate and all that. But when you get to the point where you or your family members, or maybe it ain't even you, maybe it's your son or your daughter, who comes up with an idea or gets really educated and goes to college and becomes just something, or just makes something happen, and they're the ones who are trying to make something happen, but they don't get the breaks that everybody else gets, because now you're at a 70% tax rate. So that's something to think about when you I'm just pro socialism. You can make something happen in a society, but you have to work hard. You have to be smart with your money. And here goes another thing that he was talking about. Okay. Now, when it comes to this fruit picking thing, this drives me crazy, because a lot of these liberals say this whole same thing about this fruit picking, like, oh, these legals, they do all the jobs you want to do. Basically, what you're saying is, and he might not recognize he's saying this, because he's repeating things that the white liberals say, no matter whether he wants to admit it or not. That's what white liberals say, and I call them the real racists, because the Mexicans they're going to pick your fruit. Like, that's racist as hell, and they call me a bigot. like they're going to do the jobs you want. So basically, what you're saying is, whether he wants to admit it or not, he don't understand what he's saying, but he's really saying the things that the white liberals are saying. And what that sounds like to me is, you niggas are too lazy to get out there and pick that fruit. Y'all don't want them jobs. You niggas is too lazy. That's what they're basically saying. No matter how they want to slice it up.
Anthony, that's what it means. You don't want to do.
All right. I don't. Yeah, Anthony, go ahead. Finish, sum up, and then
okay.
Because I got something I want to show Robert too. I got part of the chart that we were looking.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask Robert one more thing real fast. So, if you started if you become a millionaire and you have a multi-million-dollar company, would you be happy with the government coming in and telling you how to operate the company that you started?
You know what? They would do it whether I was happy with it or not. They already tell people how to run their businesses. So I would obey the laws of the United States, because I live here. Now, what I would have a problem with, though, is being a multimillionaire or even a billionaire when there are still other people that have nothing. See, that's the whole thing. The trade-off is the two philosophies basically come down to this. With capitalism, do you want to see how high a few people might be able to get? That's what capitalism does. It gets a few people to that super upper echelon where we have people that have more money now than I've ever had since we've been doing currency in the US. We have the richest people in America right now that have ever been. But we also have very, very poor people in the same nation. And the reason being is because what capitalism does is it creates inequity. It creates inequity. Capitalism is not equal. You know this. You can go into denial mode about it if you want, but the truth is that there is inequity in opportunity in America. And
okay, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question, Robert, and this is a serious question. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this is important that I ask you this. Now, can we just get to the point where we recognize that some of these motherfuckers are just lazy, that they don't want to make something happen? Why is it always capitalist fault that people are down? Can we sit here and admit that some people just want to get high? They want to. They don't value education. Weren't we talking about that before we started this show when we was having the conversation? Aren't there some people out here who just don't value shit? Like, why does it have to be capitalism is keeping people down? You know, why can't we talk about the fact that some motherfuckers just ain't shit? They ain't gonna be shit. And then you can give them all the free stuff you want, and they still ain't gonna be shit.
I understand your point, but that is nowhere even close to a large percentage of people. That's not a lot of people that are like that. Most American adults have jobs. Most of them have jobs. Most of them work, and most people want the same things out of life. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can go person to person. Most people work. You go into a poor neighborhood, most people in those poor neighborhoods are working. See, that's one of the things that racists were trying to say, liberal and conservative at times were saying about Black neighborhoods. The guys are lazy out there. They're just out there hanging out on the corner. They don't want to be nothing. They just want to sell dope all day. That's what they basically were saying about people there. When in actuality, the working class, I don't live in the best neighborhood, but I can go door to door to door and people go to work. Okay? The guys out here work. I don't see a bunch of dudes hanging out in the corner in my neighborhood. They go to work, okay, to feed their families, to live, you know what I mean? To live with meager means, you know? So basically, I'm not going to chalk it up to people being lazy, because it seems like some of the lower class people have the hardest jobs. They're going around, basically moving, doing construction jobs. They're doing jobs that basically are unskilled worker jobs, general labor jobs, working in factories, things of that nature. Guys working in car plants, guys working, you know what I mean, for Amazon. Some hard labor intensive jobs, and they still live in poor neighborhoods. So just because you see some people and they're poor, you can't automatically assume that they're lazy. Just because you see somebody on the street homeless doesn't mean that they're lazy. There's people with jobs that live in their car. There's no way that someone should work 40 hours a week and live in their car. I don't care what their credit score is. They shouldn't. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that every choice they made was perfect, but what I'm saying is there should not be someone that makes $70 billion in the same country where 15 million kids don't know if they're going to eat dinner or not. It should not be in the same country, point blank, period. And I don't know, and I can understand, I get it, you're not empathetic, or you don't, what did you say? You're not virtuous. So I understand it's an attack to your unvirtuousness, and you have a right to be non-virtuous. You understand what I'm saying? But let the people decide how we want to take care of our people. If the people decided, hey, you know what? Capitalism's slick, man, that's great. And I love looking at somebody, that's cool. I don't care that there's poor people, then they don't care. If they're like, oh, you know what? You could just give to charity and that'll be all right, then okay, that's fine. But I want people to understand that do see that there's a problem with that, to know there are other options. Because if you go through the mainstream media, they act like there's no other option except to be in a country where there's 1% of the people have more wealth than 49% of the bottom. That's insane. Can you pull up the Tyrone? Forget about that I was bringing up before with the prosperity. We're going to show the prosperity in a different way. Would you bring up that chart that I had of the Great
Gatsby curve?
Bring that up, please. Because this is an easy way to show. This is easy work right here. Because your whole thing is you're banking on the American dream. The fact that somebody can be born poor and become rich. And it's in fact, that's true. People can be born poor here and become rich. It happens fairly often. But is that as possible here than it is in other countries? Let's take a look at the Great Gatsby curve. So if you look at the bottom right here, there's a rating for inequality. So on the bottom, so the further right, just to explain the chart to you, the further right you are on this chart, the more inequality your country's at. So you see where the United States is. See Brazil, Chile, there's a lot of inequality in those countries because they oppress Black people in those countries. Brazil, Chile, Peru. Brazil has a 75% Black, and they oppress Black people out there. They have a 25% white elite that runs the country. So you got oppression and your inequality quotient is very high. United States, very high as well. Okay, so now if you look on the left hand side up here, it says integrated immobility. So the integrated immobility means how much does it matter how much your parents had? If your parents were rich, you have a better chance of being rich. That's everywhere. If your parents are poor, you have a better chance of being poor. That's everywhere. But how much does that matter in that country? So we see the country, see where they're at. Okay, United States is up there somewhere with, oh, it looks like they're up there with like, you know, not quite true, but they got UK, Italy, some of them like there. But let's look at the countries that have the lowest inequality and the best chance of you actually making it out of the class you were born in. Those countries that are all the way to the left and down low on the chart. Countries like Denmark, Norway, Finland, Canada. Come on, man. Those are democratic social countries, social democratic countries. Why is it such a big deal when we're showing you that American dream you're talking about is actually should be called the Denmark dream or the Sweden dream, because they have a better chance of you have a better chance of upward mobility in those countries than you have in the United States. You're talking about people's possibilities for upward mobility, but because capitalism is based on greed, the people that are in power right now are trying to keep other rich people from happening. They're not trying to make you rich. When you go to work for a capitalist, your boss isn't going to ever give you the opportunity to make more money than him. What do you think this is? Upward mobility? No, they're trying to pay you just enough so you won't quit. And so people are not happy and they're doing just enough work to not get fired. Let's keep it real, okay? So upward mobility is more possible in those countries as well. So if you're talking about people becoming millionaires or leaving the class that they're in, coming up with a great idea, making something happen, things of that nature, that's still a possibility with democratic socialism. In fact, it's even more possible.
All right, Anthony, you got something you want to jump in?
Yes, I do. Hold on one second. Sorry about that.
You guys hit the like button if you haven't got a chance to hit the like button. And if you don't like it, hit the like button anyway. We're showing you two different perspectives.
Okay.
Yeah. Today's debate is on the merits of social democracy versus capitalism. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, so he got the Iceland. He still won't just accept the fact that these countries are not socialist countries. They got, like I said, America has welfare, which is socialist. So Social Security. There are some socialist programs, social programs, but that does not make you a socialist country. Now he keeps bringing up these Nordic countries. So I've already then talked about Iceland. So now I'm about to go to Denmark, for example. Denmark population is at 5.8 million. 5.8 million. That's like half of New York. Okay. So you have a whole country, once again, whose whole population is only half of New York. Okay, now when it goes to when you go to the population of those people, and I know this is going to be hard for some people to understand, or they're going to get mad when I say this, but once again, you're talking about a country that is over 90% Caucasian. They're in the 86% of the country is of Danish descent. So they don't got Mexicans and immigrants flying across the border. They don't got military bases all over the place. Okay, so we got more illegal aliens in this country than they have whole population. We got 11.3. I've already showed you this. 11.3, 11.4, depending on what chart you look at. Illegals. They only have 5.8 population. Man. So the reason why these countries can do these type of social programs on this healthcare is not because they're socialists, it's because they're so small. What does Denmark produce? What does Iceland produce? The people in those countries who run those countries are Caucasian. 90+% of the population are their people, and they're Caucasian. 90+%. So the whole thing is they're smart enough to understand that if we don't take care of our own people, then there will be turmoil in our countries. So we don't have huge militaries. We're not giving billions of dollars to Israel every year for military spending. We don't have illegal aliens coming across, and using up all the hospitals and healthcare and giving people welfare and all these type of things that are going on. So it's easier for these countries to do it. But it's not because they're just some socialist utopia. The whole thing is the reason why they can do this in these countries that he keeps talking about is because they're so small. They're so small. So you have to accept the fact that these countries don't have the same issues that we have. It's like comparing apples to oranges. You can't do it. The whole thing is all these countries that he keeps naming, because he keeps going to these Nordic countries, because that's what these socialists like to do. They like to go to these Nordic countries and they like to point out how they're doing so well. Finland. Now, I'm about to go to Finland because he keeps talking about these Nordic countries. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to Norway real quick. Hold on. Let me see.
What you looking for?
The population of Norway.
All right, I got you.
Appreciate it. So, Norway, Tyrone's about to bring it up. Population, 5 million. So we're talking about another country that is only half the size of New York. And once again, I know y'all don't like some of y'all, he's racist. Blah, blah, blah. But here, hold on, let me see here. Let me see. Demographic, once again.
That's Norway, Iowa.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at Norway. So once again, 5 million people. They only have 700,000 immigrants. 700,000 immigrants. 323,000 of those immigrants are Western. So that's Caucasian. Okay. And then the 500,000 immigrants that they do have are all legal. They're all legal. So they can bring these people in and know that they have enough space and enough income in the country that the purse of the country has enough money to cover these immigrants that they're bringing in. So they got 505,000 non-Western background immigrants from Pakistan, Somalia, Morocco, Iraq, and Kurdistan, and a few from Iran. So if you're a small country like these countries with 5 million, and you can control your immigration, and you don't have a huge military, and your population is so small, it's easier for them to do this. And once again, they're majority Caucasian. Caucasians help other Caucasians in these countries. That's why if you look at Norway, they have some of the best prison systems in the world, because the people that they're locking up are other Caucasians. So if you look at Norway, for example, their prisons, you get to wear your own clothes, you get to cook your own food. They're like little apartments. Do the research on this. So basically what I'm getting at once again is you cannot compare these small Caucasian countries to America. If these countries had the immigration problem that we have, they would be in a different situation. So if you add the military problem that we have, if you add the immigration problem that we have, it would be a different circumstance. So you cannot compare what we have going on to what they have going on.
All right, here, let's let Robert get in and respond to any of that what you said. And then what we could do after that is we could ask each other a couple questions and then wrap it up, because I think you guys, Robert, I think you have like 2 more things that you haven't shown, and I think Anthony, you have 1.
So just to kind of bounce on that, number 1, China has universal health care. They have over 1 billion people. So let's not just act like, oh, the population. Well, okay. So basically what you're saying, though, in a nutshell, if we focus on immigration reform, if we focus on cutting military spending and having bases in other people's countries, right? If we cut, if we choose not to fund vassal states like Israel, and things of that nature, then we would be in a position where things like a universal healthcare system would work. So basically, you're not saying that you're saying that basically, if we want a universal healthcare system to work, we're going to have to do other things better as well. And I understand that they work in conjunction with one another. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely, I'm for immigration reform. Guess who else? The people that are talking about universal healthcare are also talking about immigration reform. Ironically, I guess they see the same thing you see, Anthony. Military.
No,
they're talking about.
Hold on, Anthony.
Okay.
Wars, like out of Syria, leave Venezuela alone. Stop picking fights with Iran. Let's get out of these regime change wars, right? Guess what? The people talking about universal healthcare in America, they're also talking about eliminating regime change wars. So they're on the same page as you, Anthony. And they also don't want to fund vassal states. See, so the thing is that, you have some great points, but everything you point to, you're just basically looking at the way the world is right now and saying that something is impossible. And I'm saying, yeah, there may be some drawbacks if we look at things the way they are right now, but we can't be resistant to change. We can't be people that don't want to fight for change. We can make this country into what we want it to be. We just have to fight for it. And that's fine by me. You know what I mean? You are in a position where you're saying, you know what, that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. I just got to take it like this, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it how I live in this. Okay, that's fine. A lot of people are adaptive like that. And that's what they want to do. Some people, though, they don't have the same skill as you. They weren't born with the same intelligence you were born with. They weren't born with the same advantages that you have, Anthony. And so since they don't have those same advantages, you can't expect the same thing out of them. But I'm saying that those people still have certain rights and that we need to protect. One of those is a right to health care, no matter what their ability to pay is. That's just number one right there. They also have a right to become educated and to get an education if they so desire. You know what I mean? Without going into crippling debt. They have a right to that. And we need to say to our government that these are rights that we want you to protect. These are positive rights that go along with the negative rights that you have already given us. You can't infringe on our freedom of speech, so you need to make sure the populace is educated. You can't infringe on our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, so you need to make sure that everyone is taken care of, regardless of their ability to pay. And those go hand in hand with a lot of the different things you're talking about that are really necessary. Immigration reform. That's obviously a hot button topic for you. You know what I mean? You see that as a big time problem. Why do it's funny how these big time problems still exist in a capitalistic society. That even though we're making more money than we could ever, as people that we can make, that we still have these type of problems. But just because it's almost like, well, the reason we should stay capitalist is because these problems exist and they can continue to exist as long as we're capitalists. How about eliminating those problems and eliminating the problems that are capitalist? I'm not against free markets, bro. I'm not. But history has shown something very profound, that when governments refuse to regulate different industries in responsible ways, these industries will not be responsible themselves. As a matter of fact, they will do immoral things in order to increase their bottom line. They've shown it time and time again. And the people need protection. Workers need protection from businesses, and consumers need protection from businesses. And the government that serves us needs to work in conjunction with us to bring those type of protections about, to enforce them, and to make sure that businesses are held in check and don't operate with impunity. As it is now, though, because we're living in what's becoming more and more oligarchical, what's happening is that because these corporations, in their quest for greed, are buying off politicians, they're paying, you know what I mean? They're lobbying, which is their right in the Constitution to be a lobbyist, but they're lobbying in order to get certain laws passed that show that they have no care for consumer protections and they have no care for their worker protections. So if they're not willing to just put, if all the companies got together and said, you know what, we're going to treat workers responsibly on our own. We're going to protect consumers on our own. And we don't need your interference because we're going to do the right thing on our own. And they have shown that historically. Then guess what? I would be against regulation for something that they're already doing. But the fact of the matter remains, the reason there are regulations in place and that we need to even look for even more regulations is because corporations have historically taken advantage of workers, taken advantage of consumers, all for greed. And that's undisputable. You cannot tell me that you believe that that corporations have your best interest in mind. Do you believe that corporations have your best interest in mind when they're creating opportunities for them to make more money?
I mean, if you go to school for the right thing, like for example, you know, Microsoft has created a lot of billionaires. If I would have went to school for something in that field, I believe I could have made that money too. I don't think, and that's the biggest problem. It's not capitalism's fault that I didn't go to school to be some damn techie. You know what I mean? Like no, I didn't miss your point. These are all opportunities that are there for everybody, but we're not capitalizing on it because a lot of it is about education. You know, and then when you talk about this social education, like I talked about earlier, in some of these black cities, because I know for a fact in Detroit, I've seen people graduate who can't even read. So I'm against some of these social programs. You know what I think? I think that if we took away public school systems and people had to pay for that shit themselves, that some of these parents would take it more serious. Instead of just thinking, well, I can just send them off to these schools, when some of these schools aren't even educating the kids.
What about the ones that couldn't afford education?
Well, look, you shouldn't have kids if you can't afford them. That's how's that capitalism fault? Like, if you can't afford these kids, you shouldn't have them. And I don't want to hear all these excuses. Sometimes you have to be able to accept responsibility. If you can't afford these kids, don't have them. And if you know you can't afford kids and you're not on no birth control and you're not gonna wear a condom, don't fuck. I'm sorry.
So wait, just to make sure I understand you. So if someone has a kid, whether it was responsible, irresponsible, whatever, and they said, I can't afford to send my kid to school, someone should come up to them and literally say, you shouldn't have had that kid if you couldn't afford to pay for his education.
Hey, look, if you bring that child in to this planet and when you know you're unprepared, that is your fault. You are hurting that kid. It's not capitalism hurting that kid. It's not capitalism hurting that kid.
What if I get cancer?
Your decision making is hurting the
What if
kid.
I get cancer?
Look, instead of buying Jordans, instead of buying weaves, instead of buying material things, period, no matter what race you are, you should pay for insurance instead of getting that new car, instead of getting that Dodge Challenger.
But I get cancer. You know, cancer, most insurance companies don't pay everything when it comes to your cancer. You still have co-pays, you still have premiums, things of that nature, right? You know that, right?
Well, that's why you should have life insurance like I got. You know, if you get the right life insurance.
It's gonna die, so you might as well have life insurance.
Well, I mean, I got a couple different policies, and then one of my policies if I was to get sick, I can pull the money out of what my life insurance is worth, and I can use it 80% of that towards my bills. So let's say you have a $500,000 policy, you can pull 80% of that out. New York Life, they put that out there. You can do this. You know what I'm saying? So there, I pay my premium every month. I'm not buying Jordans every week. I'm not buying when new
would rather
Jordans came
pay
out.
a
Honestly,
premium.
look, I
Wait, so
can't tell you.
Premium to a private insurance company rather than pay taxes to help people get health care?
Yes. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because at the end of the day, I don't want my money funding these illegals. You're talking about these people are trying to hold on. Listen. Hold on. I'll let you talk for a long time. Here goes the whole thing, right? Now, you're talking about these people who are promoting this universal health care. They're talking about immigration reform. That immigration reform that you're talking about, that these socialists love and they're trying to do, is called the DREAM Act and the DACA Act and all this bullshit, where they're trying to keep all these illegals in the country. Under my immigration reform, I'm kicking their ass out the country. All right, I'm kicking their ass out the country. Period. Like, and
More expensive to do that.
Look, hold on. Look, I'll let you talk for a long time. I will put their ass in those camps with no water or nothing and teach their ass to listen for coming across this damn border. Them and their kids. Because, well, look. So where do you see? Once again, that's the whole thing. You guys are so pro-immigration that you don't see that immigration is stopping everything that you want to do. Everything that you want to do, all your, universal health care and all that, your immigration policy and your ideology that you have toward these immigrants actually hurts your cause. No matter how you guys want to, you don't want to kick their ass out.
I want a path to citizenship.
No, see, I want their ass kicked out. And that's the whole thing. Those 11 million immigrants that are in here illegal, they're going to have more kids and more kids and more kids and more kids. So that 11 million is going to balloon into 60 plus million in no time, whether you want to accept it or not. So I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk forever.
All right, and hold on.
And it's like
Hold on, you guys. Let's do this. I think everybody has kind of seen you guys' fundamental differences of thought, and I think you guys have laid out your case for social democracy and capitalism. So why don't we just give our final thoughts and our final analysis of the conversation and make sure we stay on topic, and then let's wrap it up. And if you guys got some more questions, we can include the questions in that, but let's direct it in towards wrapping it up, because now we're starting to rehash things that we've been over, and we're starting to just go back and forth. So
I agree with that. But I'm just repeating on some things that he just said though, and he talked about more regulation. Once again, what people have to understand about this socialist, he can call it the socialist democracy or whatever, but all it is socialism, socialist, period. And the whole thing is more regulation is going to make it where people take their businesses out the country. They're going to take their money and take their businesses out the country, period. So more regulation is bad. And anybody who doesn't seem to understand what these socialists are all about and what socialism is all about, it's about big government. So he's saying he wants to stop the military spending and all this, but then he wants to promote more regulation. What more regulations mean is you have to hire more government officials to patrol these things. You have to have more agencies to be in people's business and to tell people what to do. It's big government, no matter how they want to slice it. So the same government that is oppressing Black people is the same government that we want to give more power to and make it even bigger. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. So, no more. I'm against regulation. Capitalism is better. We don't need no more regulation. We don't need no more immigration. Let me see. Yeah. So that's all I got to really say on that, man. Like you said, I don't want to keep going over the same thing. But can you show me the chart that I sent you that I didn't pop up yet, please, too, real quick before I let Robert go again? Because I want to, because I wrote some things down, but I got to make sure I went over everything that I was trying to.
All right, let me see. Let me show you what you sent and haven't said nothing yet about. I know it was 2 things. Is this what you were talking about?
Yes, that's the one. So, low tax states are adding jobs 80% faster than high tax states due to Trump's tax cuts. All right. So once again, tax cuts help bring business. Keep your mind out of these billionaires' pockets and these multi-million-dollar cats' pockets, and just recognize that if they get the tax cuts, they can open businesses. They can hire more employees. You see what I'm saying? If you tax the hell out of people, they're unmotivated to do so. Now, we can't stop people from doing what they want to do. If Robert, if you started, I know you're virtuous and you wouldn't do this, but if you wanted to take your business to get something made for cheaper in China and to take your business to somewhere else, do you want the government to tell you can't do that?
Oh, you want me to answer that question?
Yes.
The government, well, I don't know. I mean, Trump said that he's going to make sure that these other companies bring their business back from China and that they stay there. So I don't know. But meanwhile, he started.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay. See, once again, he, whatever to be virtuous. Here go the whole thing. Trump is offering tax breaks to people for them to bring their companies back. So I'll be honest with you. If these socialists were smart, they would tell these people that if you bring your companies back to America, we will give you 5% taxes. We'll cut your taxes to bring these jobs back. But I'll be honest with you. In my mind state, I don't believe that Black people just need jobs. We need our own businesses. We need our own economy. A job is not just going to save you forever unless you get some high-paying job. You need your own businesses. You need your own economy. That's what is going to make you better. And if Black people start working together and we start our own economy, the last thing you need is somebody telling you they need 70% of your money.
All right, go ahead. Let's let Robert jump in and Robert, give your final analysis if you want to give your final analysis, and also let me look and make sure that everything you sent over was shown. Is there anything that you sent over that we missed?
I'm fine. I want to say thanks, Anthony. You had some really good points. So basically, you made some great points about immigration reform, how it's necessary. I really just can't get with putting people in cells and not giving them water until they've learned their lesson. I don't know if that's going to actually help anything, as far as, and it's a human rights violation. I don't know why you hate those people so much that you would actually violate their human rights because they're looking for more opportunity in a capitalist society that offers opportunity to everyone. I don't get it, but thank you for that. It just kind of gives us a glimpse into your heart. It's kind of black. It's kind of a dark place you went to with that. But I believe that ultimately social democracy can exist with free markets. So the things that Anthony is talking about, where businesses are incentivized to hire workers, to be in a productive part of our nation, to create prosperity, those things can coexist. But there are certain places where corporations should not exist. And when we're talking about reinforcing certain rights, positive rights, we can't have corporations deciding whether they want to be moral or immoral based on, their bottom line regarding those things. One of those things is education. We don't need private companies deciding who gets what level and what type of education, especially when we're talking about children. And it should not be decided by something like your property taxes, what kind of education your child gets. There needs to be reform in that system. And we need to be striving towards equity. Social democracy says we strive towards equity in those things because the education of a child is their right. It's a positive right that reinforces the negative rights that we've given them in the Constitution. When we're talking about healthcare, everyone should have access to healthcare regardless of their ability to pay for it. What that's going to do is it's going to actually allow Americans that are in poverty or Americans that have, or maybe one sickness or illness away from going bankrupt. It's going to allow them to keep more money in their pocket and to actually use that money to what? Save, start their own businesses, buy, use, participate more in commerce, move the capitalist economy along because they have more money in their pockets. So when we're talking about social programs based around fundamental rights, I'm not saying the guy that sells cars or makes cars, the people that manufacture cars and things of that nature, like they can't be billionaires. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when we're talking about negative rights being reinforced by positive rights, and we need to enforce those types of rights on the same level, and when necessary, the government has to step in to make sure there is equity in those rights, because it's not a right if some people have it and other people don't. Healthcare is a right. So when some people have it and other people don't, that means that we're not protecting the positive right that goes along with the negative right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The things that our constitutional credos. You understand what I'm saying? So when the people see inequity in those rights, the government, as a service, as an agent of the people, need to work with the people in conjunction with the people to bring more equity with programs. We cannot rely on private industries to do everything equitably because they've shown time and time again that they will protect their bottom line at the suffering of the people or the suffering of their workers. They will do that. If you took away minimum wage, which in a lot of these democratic socialist nations, they don't have minimum wage. You know what I mean? Because and so they've also removed some government regulation over that because the businesses in that nation have shown that they're already responsible for their workers. So they have higher wages, but they don't even have a minimum wage in the laws. In America, we have to have a minimum wage in the laws. Why? Because if we don't have a minimum wage in the law, we're gonna have people working for $2 an hour, guaranteed. Because we have very poor people that will do anything for money, and we have corporations that will take advantage of that if necessary. People need their job. So what I'm saying is that when there's an opportunity for the government to create equity through regulation of corporations, we do not leave it to the corporation to trust they'll do the right thing. We step in as the people, we work in conjunction with the government to bring about equity, and we force them to. If they don't want to do that and they don't want to be a part of that and they want to leave, so be it. Because guess what? There's someone behind them. And that's another rule about capitalism too, that when a business fails or a business leaves, that there's someone up that will rise up to the competition to fill that gap in the marketplace. So you're not even trusting in your own capitalism by understanding that regulation and government is necessary. If these guys leave, there'll be another one, because there's going to be a hole in the marketplace that can then be filled by someone else. There's not any business in America that doesn't operate without competition. So if Amazon leaves, their competition gets stronger. If there's another company that leaves, if a car company decides to leave, there's another company that takes their place. That's capitalism in a nutshell. I'm not against free markets, but I am against oppression. I'm against the government allowing oppression, and I think that it's time for the people to step up and say, you know what, where we can create more equity in places that people have a right, we have to defend their rights on the negative side in the Constitution and on the positive side through social programs.
Okay. All right, Anthony, you want to give us your final analysis, and you sent me another article to bring up.
Yeah. I just sent that to you. I was wondering, can you bring that up? Because I'm about to, as I go on my final thing, I would like you to please bring that newspaper article up, and people can do the research on this too. Now he keeps saying that we can't trust the private sector with the insurance and handling things, because the private sector has shown time and time again that they can't be trusted. Now, this is an article, and you can do the research on this. The Obamacare architect who proposed Obama's universal Obamacare plan, he called the American voters stupid. The stupidity of the American voters led us to hide Obamacare's true costs from the public. And you guys can do the research on this. It's on YouTube. You can watch the guy himself call Americans stupid. So the same government that he's telling us that we should give more authority to regulate us even more, and that we're going to be able to trust them to handle this situation, shows you right there that they're just as corrupt as you want to portray the private sector to be. So why would I put my trust just in them? At least with the private sector, I have options. So you create competition. That's what capitalism is about. So there's competition, and I can choose which insurance company that I want to go with.
That's Obamacare.
And that we want to go with. Look, the government can't be trusted. That's the moral of the story. They can't be trusted. I don't care what they're talking about. They can't be trusted. Now, I let him go on for his whole 5-6 minutes, and you my dude. Just let me go ahead and get this off real quick. So now, that article, shows you exactly how the government cannot be trusted. So there's no point of taking away the private sector, which is capitalism, so you can put the government in charge of healthcare. That's a horrible idea, because the government cannot be trusted. They can't be. I don't care who, they can't be trusted. Name me a government throughout history that really can be trusted. You really can't find one. Every government in society since the beginning of time has been corrupt. So I don't care who you put in there. There's always going to be some form of corruption. So when it comes to this whole situation, we have to be smarter with our money. We have to start putting money up for a rainy day. And you need to start early in life at this. Don't wait until you're 35 to start trying to save money. When you start when you're 20, start when you're 18. Matter of fact, start when you're 16. When you get that allowance, don't run to the mall to go buy ice cream and go to the movies. Put $5 of that up. You know what I mean? Like, we have to start at a young age of learning how to manage our money, so you have money to do the things that you need to do. Being material hurts Americans. We're the most consumer people in the country in the world. We consume. Our issues are not capitalism. And for Black people in particular, your issue is not with capitalism. Your issue is with the fact that we're not very good with credit. The same school systems that he's saying is so great through the socialism, and they give it to us for free. They don't even teach you about credit in high school. They don't even teach you about the things that you need to learn in these schools. That is why you have to teach yourself, and you have to teach your children yourself. I teach my kids about credit. I tell my kids never pay a bill late and pay your bills on time. I'm doing that myself. I'm not waiting on some public school to teach my kid everything that they need to know in this society. And as Black people, that is something that we have to stop doing. If you, especially the ones who talk about the white man's oppressing us and everybody's oppressing us, if you really believe that, you can't send your kids to their schools and think that you're going to get the best education that they're going to get from someone who's giving it to you for, number one, free. And the same people you're saying are oppressing you is teaching your children. So that's one thing. And, you know, the whole idea of just letting people come across the border, and why I say what I say about those people is, and I would like to ask Robert a quick question. This is simple. You don't have to go on a long rant, but this is just a simple question so I can finish what I'm trying to go at here. If you're on a bridge and you're in the middle of the bridge, and on the right side of the bridge there's a white baby, you know, white little toddler, he's about to fall off the bridge, and on the left side you have a Black baby and he's about to fall off the bridge, and you can only save one. Don't give me that I'm gonna save them both and I'm gonna stretch out like Stretch Armstrong. You can only save one. What baby are you gonna go save?
I'm in the middle of the bridge. How am I saving them too? Doesn't make any sense.
No. See, I knew he was gonna. You see how these Negroes act? Do you see how these Negroes act? You know, you can only save one. You can head in one direction. You got a Caucasian or Asian baby, whatever you want to make it, on your right hand side, and you got a baby that look like you, your own people, on the left hand side, and you only have enough time to save one baby. The other baby's going to fall. He's going to perish. But you got time to save one. You can head in one direction. What baby are you going to go save?
Who's got the most expensive clothes on? Because I'm going to get the reward from their parents.
All right. Okay. Never mind. He didn't answer the question. Now, right. I'm glad y'all got to see this brother, how he responded to that answer. Because at the end of the day, the reason why I say what I say about the immigration is not because I hate these people. It's because I'm concerned with my own people. And if you put me in the middle of that bridge and there's an Asian, an Arab baby, white baby, whatever you want to name, any other race's baby on the right-hand side, toddler, whatever you want to call it, and I only can save one, I'm going to go save my people. Like, I'm gonna run, dive, whatever I got to do to save my people. And when that other baby fall, I'm sorry. And what you got to understand is these Asians, these Arabs, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to go save the Black baby. They're not going to do this virtuous thing this brother just pulled. And these Martin Luther King mentality type brothers is going to pull. They're going to go save their own damn people, period. And so it's not a hatred for these other races, you know. But if you could do me one more favor, if you know, and I'm offended while I'm talking, can you find the article of the Latinos burning the Black families' houses down in the community out in California? Latinos burning down Black people's, you know. So these same Latinos that they fight, that these Negroes fight for so hard, they come over here, and hopefully he can find this article before I finish my, you know, my final thoughts. These same Latinos come over here, join gangs, and they burn Black people's houses down in these communities and push the Black people out of the communities. But I'm not supposed to look with that. I'm not supposed to look at that because then I'm the bigot. But I'm just looking at the actions of the people who are coming over here and how they're treating my people. So if I don't believe in this whole, and this is something I want to say to all Black people out here, and this is not, I know this brother's a bigot, but you have to treat these other races how they treat you. All this, I'm going to be nice to everybody else and show all these people love while they putting their foot in your ass is not a good mentality to have. You have to stand up for yourself, and you have to understand how people are treating you. So the reason why I say what I say about these other races on immigration, because even if you look at the H-1B1 visa program, when these Indians come over here, Trump was trying to stop that. That's one reason why I like Trump. He was actually trying to stop that H-1B1 visa program. You can do the research on this, where these Indians coming over here and getting all these tech jobs. Okay. Now, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Latino gang members in Southern California are terrorizing and killing Blacks. And there's more articles on this You guys can do the research yourself. So I'm supposed to be one of these, I love everybody Negroes, and I'm supposed to ignore this. I'm not one of those. I don't have that Martin Luther King spirit where if somebody's putting their foot in my ass, I'm gonna turn around and tell them I love them. And to me, that is a suicidal mind state. It's suicidal. That's what it is. If you respect me, I'll respect you. But overall, I have to look at the fact of how your people as a whole. I can't just look at the fact I see one cool Mexican, because I've met some cool Mexicans. But at the end of the day, I got to look at the overall impact of the Mexicans. And when they start showing my people respect overall, then my mentality would change. But I care about those Black people who are getting killed out there in Southern California. I care that their families and their kids are getting burned out of these houses and what's going on over there. And I can't ignore that. And if that makes me a bigot, well, damn it, I'm a bigot. If that makes me a racist, well, then damn it, I'm a racist. You can call me whatever you want. But I don't have no real hatred for them. I just see how they're responding. So what I'm saying is immigration as a whole hurts Black people. And these socialists and these liberal socialists, because that's basically what he is, they try to ignore all the damage that's being done and how Black people are being hurt by their whole philosophy and what in their mind state in the bills that they want to push through. They want to make these gangbangers dreamers and give them paths to citizenship. You heard Robert say it himself. He wants to give these Mexicans path to citizenship so they can burn these Black folks out their houses and their kids can burn these Black folks out these houses. I don't see it that way. So right. I'm gonna get off the immigration thing, and I'm just gonna say one last thing before I get done.
Let's keep it on the merits of social democracy.
Okay.
And American democracy.
And basically, why I was talking about the immigration is because of this. When it comes to universal health care, we're not going to stop the military-industrial complex. They'll blow any president's brain. You see what they did to JFK. If you mess with I don't care what president you are. If you mess with the Federal Reserve or you mess with the military-industrial complex, your ass gonna end up dead. And they got heart attack guns out here. They'll just shoot their ass and make it like they had a heart. I mean, they got ways to get rid of your ass. Look up the heart attack gun by the CIA. Do that in your own time. So anyway, you're not going to be able to stop that. I'm just a realist. So the only other ways that we can achieve this universal health care that they want to push without taxing the hell out of Americans is we have to kick all these immigrants out of here and stop bringing them in here, period. So I just want to say one last thing, and I'm going to be done with it. Taxes at a 70% with this socialist and socialism will hurt Black people, no matter how you want to slice it. Right now, we're at the bottom of this society. That's where we're at. We're damn near, we are at the very bottom of this society. All these other immigrants have come over here and they have passed us. The Asians, the Indians, we're at the bottom. So I don't see no point of fighting for that and fighting for them to continue to come over here. And if we continue to let them come over here, you're never going to be able to get ahead like you should be able to, or as quick as you can, because they're eating up the services that we should be benefiting from first. Until we benefit first, no one else should benefit at all. So, and if you tax these small businesses if you tax people at a 70% rate, Black people, when we are making money and we do start bringing in $1 million or two, couple million, and get to that point we're bringing in $10 million and all that, we're not going to be able to put it back into our community because these socialists are going to take it at a 70% rate. So that's all I really want to say, man. I'm done. I just tell y'all to do your research on this and don't believe what CNN's telling you and what these liberal-led socialist Negroes is telling you. Don't do it, because a lot of them, they're not doing their research. Robert's done some research, but these other people, they're not doing the research. They're repeating talking points, and they're not looking at the numbers, and they don't understand how it's going to hurt blacks.
All
And
right.
that's it.
All right. Robert, go ahead and close it out. If you got something you want me to bring up while closing it out, let me know. I will bring it up. If anybody's watching, hit the subscribe button. We are talking about the merits of social democracy versus American democracy. This has been a good debate. I think everybody has done a great job of laying out the differences in what they think. And like Anthony said, after this, if you guys have some thoughts or some questions, go check it out. We've been posting links and we've been posting what they're talking about. So, Robert, go ahead, take us out. And like I said, if there's something you want me to bring up, make sure I bring it up. And before we go, I'm going to make sure you guys let everybody know where to find you. And you're going to be able to find Robert here on Soapbox Heroes soon. That's the friend of the people. Go ahead, Robert.
So I just learned something new from Anthony today, that most Mexicans are actually gangbangers and they want to kill black folks. So based on an article where a couple of Mexicans got together to kill, some black people, that's pretty much what it is. Most Mexicans are not gang members. I'm going to let you know that right now. Just so you guys, just in case you're watching and you don't know that, I'm pretty sure you already know, most Mexicans are not gang members. They're just regular people, just like you and me. And, to put that kind of fear along racial lines is very dangerous rhetoric. So YouTube, if you're listening, don't shut down our channel. We're not hating on Mexicans. It's not hate speech. Anthony is just expressing his point of view and what he believes, what he sees, just what he's seeing in his perspective. So don't shut our channel down. But so again, he's actually pointing out, see, the fact that he's bringing up a problem, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of problems with our country, and we're in capitalism, and there's still the problem. It's like almost like, well, we can't have a social democracy without immigration reform, whether it's starving them, putting them in cages and starving them to death, or kicking them out across the border, or giving them a path of citizenship. We've got to pick one lane. I think that most sane people know what lane they're picking. And then let's see. But so that the problem is that you're saying that social democracy wouldn't work in America, but is capitalism working in America? How's that working out for black people? Is capitalism actually we're on the bottom, like you said, we're on the bottom. Capitalism makes it so that there's classes like that, where there's going to be certain groups way up at the top and certain groups on the bottom. And guess what? We're on the bottom. Capitalism made it like that, and it keeps it like that. Okay? The people that are rich, most people, 60% of people that have over $1 million that are millionaires inherited their money from their parents. 60%. So as far as you're coming up with a great idea and living the American dream, you can flush that, bro. It happens a lot less than you
show me that chart.
To do it. You know what I mean?
Can you show me that chart?
Go ahead, Robert. Let him finish, Anthony.
Okay, sorry. I just feel like he's throwing stats out there just to grandstand.
And like I said, at this point in time, we've said a lot. And so if somebody got something that they want to look up,
so I'm sorry, Tyrone.
Go ahead, Robert.
So, in lieu of that, let me strike that from the record, and let me just say again, according to the Great Gatsby curve, upward mobility sucks in the United States. If you're born poor, chances are you're going to die poor, and if your parents weren't rich, chances are you won't be rich either. That is according to that Great Gatsby chart that I put up there. Okay, so again, if you're thinking about that American dream, come on, man. It's not like it used to be. You know what I mean? People are loaded up with student loan debt, because most debt that people have in their lives is their student loan debt from going to college, just trying to better themselves and get an education. Okay. So basically, when we're talking about those type of things, it cuts upward mobility off in America. Okay. So this thing, like, keep capitalism around because it's going to give us a chance to be something that we're not right now and get better. And that's what everybody wants to improve. Capitalism isn't the only way to get it. Okay. But I know what you do get with capitalism in America. You get American greed. Okay. You get us going, you get war profiteers. You get us going into different countries and starting wars for profit. That shows that that corporations cannot be trusted. These corporations that make money off of warmongering, war profiteers, capitalists, they can't be trusted. You get things like blood diamond. You get diamond wars like with De Beers and things of that nature in countries, blood diamonds and stuff like that. You get that from capitalism. You get when's the last time you can't go and see a buffalo that was raised in the wild anymore because when capitalists found out people were buying, they were selling and they took buffaloes out. You know what I mean? You get all of that. You know what I mean? You get a lack of care for our environment. You know what I mean? Where you got a president who is a king capitalist, an apex pet predator of a capitalist that basically denies it in the face of all scientific evidence that climate change is actually happening and uses that to deregulate natural gas, oil industries and things of that nature so they can operate with impunity, and they don't take care of the environment by themselves. So once they deregulate them, it's all bets are off, and we don't have the same environmental protections in place to make sure that people can remain healthy. And then again, we've got private insurance companies that if you won't have enough money to pay for your medications, so what? You know, people, even millionaires go broke from having cancer. Even people with really good jobs lose their jobs. Most people get their health insurance from their employer, so they don't have a choice in who they pick for their insurance. He's trying to say that people get choices. People get choices. They don't get choice. Most people don't get choices in who they have. It's whoever their employer chooses. They have to pay those premiums, whatever premiums those insurance companies offer, and they have to pay whatever co-pays and things like that. They have to take sorry insurance from what their employer. And if their employer wants to switch and your doctor's not in network, you got to switch doctors. So you don't have a choice of what doctor you get to go to. They better be in the network of your insurance plan. And insurance plans, instead, if you're paying taxes for your insurance, for everyone to get insurance, you pay taxes and you get insurance. If you pay a private insurance company, you're paying for healthcare plus profit. So you understand that what we're paying now in health insurance premiums is is much more than the cost of insurance should be, because these people have to make profits. And then when these businesses make profits, they're not reinvesting back in their companies. They're not reinvesting back in their companies. They're buying back stocks and they're giving bonuses to their CEOs and their top brass. So let's keep it real. They got cats that run their companies that make millions and millions of dollars a year while they're still not paying their workers a living wage. And that, if you're against all of that stuff, if you're against those type of things, then guess what? Take a close look at social democracy, okay? Because social democracy has done a lot to solve a lot of those problems. There's no such thing as a perfect economic system. There's no such thing as perfect political systems. But guess what? There is a such thing as better and more beneficial for all people, not just for the few that strike gold. And that's what capitalism has shown. It's good for the few that strike gold, and it's good for the elite, and it's good for the people that can buy a politician and those type of things. But when it comes to the rest of us and the normal of us, 78% of us live in check to check. That I'll let you know, even though there's a lot of money in America, something wrong. We ain't getting it. We know who got it.
All right. Go ahead, Anthony. Yeah. Let's make these quick, and we're gonna wrap it up. You guys done a lot of presentation between the two of you guys. You guys gave a lot of people, or gave the people, something to really go think about. And I've even learned something from both of you guys. And there is vast differences in you guys' ideology, and I want to thank you guys for that. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, and this is what I want to say. I just want to say that, these socialists, like they if you really pay attention to what they're saying, is they want to take people's money from them and give it to other people. And in a capitalist society, if you become rich, you can take care of your own family. Just like Russell Wilson not too long ago, he just, real recently, he just bought his mom a house for Mother's Day. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, if you give away 70%, they gonna take that money and give it to who they want to give it to. Because Russell Wilson just got like a damn near $141 million contract. So my thing is, you take 70% of that way to give away to illegal aliens and do this whole Rainbow Coalition thing. That's not cool. But this man was able to take his money and help his family directly. And before I help anybody else's family, I want to be able to help my own. And
Okay.
in the capitalist society, that is what you can do if the taxes aren't at 70% and somebody's not coming to tell you what you should do with your money and we're going to just take it. So, this whole like, I feel like the brother Robert, man, like, and a lot of these socialists, they want to try to make you feel guilty for wanting to control your money. They want to make you feel guilty and guilt you into giving your money away. And that's not how this system should work. I just showed you that the government does not have your best interest in mind. The man called voters stupid. That's the Obamacare architect. So, like I said already, handing them the keys is not the way to do it. We have to stay private. We have to build ourselves. So, I don't see how giving your money away and letting them do what they want to do it. We've already established that the government spends too much money on military. They spend too much money. They give money away to Pakistan, Israel.
All right, keep it on the merits of social democracy versus American democracy.
And basically what I'm getting at when I say that is if they take your money through this socialism and these socialist ideas, they're going to give the money to whoever the hell they want to give it to. That's basically what I'm saying. They're going to give the money to whoever the hell they want to give it to. You're not going to be able to control their spending. They're going to do whatever they want with it. So, don't believe that if you buy into this whole socialism, that the government's going to get the money and they're going to be like, oh, we're just going to do what the people want. They're never going to do what the people want. It's not going to happen. Maybe every once in a while, but in the overall scheme of things, that's not going to happen. So capitalism is the way to go, but we just have to be smarter, man. So we have to work together, save your money, and just be smarter with your money.
All right. I gotta let Robert respond. Robert, you got a response to that?
Oh no, that's a good place to leave it. Thanks. I want him to get the last word. So much, Anthony. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right.
Good debate.
All right. And it was a good debate. I hope everybody got something out of that. I hope you guys got to see the two different fundamental sides of what they're talking about. Again, today we were debating the merits of social democracy versus American democracy. And both of the gentlemen put up slides, they put up links, they put up things for you to go back and look at. I would advise you to do that. And I want to thank you guys for coming on. Hey, Anthony, let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, I just want to say, to the brother Robert, we kept it professional, you know what I mean? And I don't have no issue. I don't have no issue with having emotion because you believe in what you believe. And sometimes I can be the same way too. So I do respect that, you know what I mean? But we can agree to disagree, and I don't have no issue with that. So I want to just say that. And I'd like to thank Tyrone and Soapbox Heroes for having me on again. And being able to do this, I think it's a good platform because it gives people the opportunity. Even though it's a debate, I'm not really looking at this like, oh, I destroy him or he. I think it's for the people to be able to, or he destroyed me. I think it's for people to be able to look, do the research themselves, right, and go with what they feel is best. You know what I mean? And do the research themselves and go with what they feel is best. So I just want to say that. And thanks for having me on. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm always in Tyrone's comments talking. Anthony Rivers on Facebook. And, if you ever have any questions, I'm not saying I'm the world's smartest man or nothing, but I'll definitely try to help out the best way I can. And I'm definitely looking to build with brothers who see things the way how I do. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe, we could work together on something or do something. So, put ideas out there, business ideas, or whatever the case. So I think we should build and try to work on building something. So, just holler at me.
All right. I appreciate it, Anthony. I always love having you on. Always. I like the different perspectives. And like you said, this was a chance for people to get to see two different perspectives and then, kind of go look and learn for themselves. This isn't a thing about beating each other up or besting each other as far as like intellectually, because in my eyes, you guys are both very, very, very smart gentlemen. I tell you guys that on your own. And I mean that. And so that's what I mean. It's not about somebody making one person look dumb or the other. Sometimes we have fundamental differences in thinking. And so this is just an opportunity for us to lay it out. People see what it is and they get to learn too, because I'm sure hearing some things from both of you guys, people have got to learn from the both of you. Robert, let's take a second and let everybody know where to find you.
All right. First of all, yeah, thanks, Tyrone, for for moderating. Thank you so much, Anthony. It's always a pleasure. Again, it is just something that it's not about winners and losers. It is definitely something about education. I think that when the exchange of free ideas, when we can exchange ideas freely, that is a win for everybody, because the ideas is, to be able to speak out freely, is something that Black people wasn't always able to do. And, so that being said, make sure you're supporting Black media. Make sure you're hitting the like, subscribe, and, supporting Black media. Be right here on Soapbox Heroes. Tyrone's always doing interesting topics. And he's accessible. He's not like Dan Rather or something.
Not close. Just holler at me. We here.
and Black media, Black independent media is the main way that we're going to be able to hold our government, businesses, whatever, and each other accountable. So support Black media. Now, I can be found right here on Soapbox Heroes. I'm here about weekly, at least once a week. And also on Facebook, Robert Kelly. You can see me there. Just around and about, man. I'm on the internet all the time. Just work. I'm watching. Even if you're not watching me, I'm watching you.
All right. And I want to thank them both for coming on. And hey, you guys, when you see Robert or you see Anthony come on by themselves, just be prepared. We're going to start expanding things, and we're going to start giving people, we're going to start doing it. We're going to scale upward. And so Robert's going to start coming on doing his thing. We're trying to get Anthony to come on and do his thing. We have some other people. Nashanae is going to come on and do her thing. We have somebody named Miracle Jones. She's going to come on and do her thing. So we're trying to bring it together, something like a network. And so there's no individuality. So there's nobody here trying to say, I'm not here trying to say, hey, this is mine. Because from the beginning, I've been saying this is ours. And so we're going to come together. We're going to scale upward. So when you guys see other people on, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you lend them an ear, and make sure you share. That's what we're going to try to do around here. This is Soapbox Heroes. My name is Tyrone Irvin. I want to thank everybody for watching. Hey, thank you too for coming on.
All right.
Peace.
All right, we out of here.